Not for pussies. Taylor Swift is now dating the Watertown boat, and a middle-aged funeral director buys a flashy red hearse. We pity your pathetic dependence on this for your weekly news, but here we go anyway. This is the Onion Week in Review. A study released this week by the National Institutes of Health confirmed that for the 25th straight year, wolf attacks remain the leading cause of death in the United States. The Human Health Agency's findings confirmed that being viciously killed by a ravenous wolf claimed the lives of over 800,000 Americans last year alone, with researchers adding that one person in the United States dies every 40 seconds from a violent wolf attack.
The mortality rate associated with wolf attacks vastly outstrips the death tolls of cancer, stroke, and chronic respiratory disease. People should know that anyone... Oh, Jesus, no.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
I feel like you gave the signal, but also went before we usually do.
Yeah, I did because
you jumped the count.
There's a technical issue with the buffer music.
Oh yeah, it's still going on.
Podcast
Yeah,
ongoing. Hasn't been solved yet, so I'm trying to not wait as long.
Okay.
Specifically to compensate for.
You gotta like inform us out in the pre-show, man. I would have been
trying
with
to
you.
get the memo, man. And then you guys look all, oh, we better jump in too, and then you do, and so it's great. Man.
All right.
You know, ad lib.
He's
right?
the captain.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. I'll write it myself.
You guys have heard of what's it called? The comedy that's unwritten, like they just
improv.
Improv, yes,
Improv,
yeah. That's what we're doing here. Doing a little improv, bro.
Okay,
fake it till you make it.
That's right.
I do love clips of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh yeah, that's great.
I think I've torrented like the entire British series of it.
Yeah,
from back in the day.
I do prefer the U.S. Drew Carey version.
Over the original?
Yeah.
It's like The Office.
Yeah.
Right.
It's because I discovered it first.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I watched the U.S. Drew Carey,
Right.
Ryan Stiles, who else is in it?
Colin Mockery, Wayne Brady.
Wayne Brady, yeah.
Those guys are hilarious.
Yes.
And they had been doing improv. Of course, the Drew Carey show, right, was largely improvised. And then, they give them like a loose outline of what the story might be. And then they do a couple different takes and keep the best ones and sew that into a show. And so then after discovering the U.S. version, then I discovered the British version. And it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But like, you go with the one that you first saw, generally speaking.
Yeah. I saw the British
favorite
one first.
Oh, very nice.
As a kid. On Comedy Central.
Comedy Central.
Comedy when they actually had stand-up comedy.
When it was funny. When television was funny.
I saw something. It's like, has it been like 40 years since MTV played music videos or something?
That's even more ridiculous.
Right.
35 years or something.
They led the way into like the reality TV genre.
Well, and also like we're single-handedly responsible for popularizing music videos.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Until they weren't.
Well, now before MTV, I recall there was a program on Friday nights at I think midnight or maybe
UHF.
11.
Oh.
It was on some
Midnight
channel. I don't
Special?
remember what channel. No, it was called Friday Night Videos.
Oh,
right. And I'm trying to remember like the first music video that I remember seeing that I can recall. I may have seen music videos before this. Was a song called "Controversy" by Prince. Also known as Cymbal Man, for those of you who are too...
The artist formerly known as.
Yes. And so that was like he did that thing, and it was a music video for all intents and purposes in the classic sense. Not to be confused with you, Steve.
Oh, thank you.
But then music videos sort of caught on, and then they just labeled it a music video. And so that's, somehow... And that occurred before MTV. Right, that show got popular, and somebody was like, maybe we should do this on cable all the time.
And that was before Free Talk Live.
Oh yeah. Long time.
You had
Long time.
Bangers Ball.
Oh, long time.
Yo MTV Raps.
Right. Yeah.
120 minutes.
Yeah.
Just waiting around after school for them to play that one video.
Yeah.
Nina Blackwood.
It's on! Get everybody into the room.
We would.
I wish I was a little bit taller.
One of my grandparents had cable before we did in the household I was living in,
With the dial?
and so no, it had I think it was a corded remote.
Yeah, it was a box, and you had
It was a box,
three.
but it
Oh,
had it, you know,
okay.
Yeah.
But you had the remote on
You had to go A, B, C bank, and then you had 10
Yeah.
buttons across it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we'd go over to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving or whatever,
Yeah.
and it was the only place she had cable was in the spare bedroom.
Weird, but all right.
Yeah, but I don't think she knew what she was doing. I think she just had money and was like, I guess
Okay.
I'll get this cable thing and put it in the guest room.
The
right?
cable guy knocked on the door and was like, we've got this thing. Like, put it in the back.
Yep. And I bet you her thought was exactly what happened, right? And exactly what happened is this: all the kids show up, and she goes, "Oh, there's cable in the spare room."
Lock the door.
All the kids are in the spare room. Anybody
way.
under the age of 18 is in the spare room, gathered around like a campfire, right? And like MTV, that's it.
That's
Just
it.
all day, the entire day. Hey, kids, dinner's ready. Can we eat dinner in here? Okay,
Sure.
I'll get the TV trays, right?
That was my cousins in the living room.
Yeah.
As soon as they got there. Bam.
To be fair, it was kind of a large room, but it had a, what's the word? It had a Murphy bed in it.
Okay.
So like the bed would just fold up,
Fold
and then
up
it had
into
like regular furniture that if you were spending the night, you'd move the furniture out of the way and
Pull down
lower
the
the
Murphy
bed.
bed, yeah.
But like, it had furniture, and it was a large enough room to hold, I don't know, 15 people or
right.
something.
But it
right?
had
So
cable.
It had cable, and so we all just
Who cares about the furniture?
parked our asses in front of the TV watching music videos, and every now and again some adult would poke their head in to make sure we weren't fighting with each other, or do you need snacks, or that
Yeah.
kind of a thing. And yeah,
Life was good.
like the adults
For the adults, too.
For the adults,
No,
yeah.
They are occupied.
Right.
As much as the boomer adults have complained about TV being the babysitter, no, they were happy. They were
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest babysitter ever."
Right.
We just
Yeah.
got to turn on the TV onto this music television channel, and they're
they're gone.
glued to it.
Yep.
Like we could be out here like having an orgy or something, and the kids would never know. So anyway,
Just ruined the family reunion.
it is Free Talk Live. Captain's log, stardate 05262024. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the authentic Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass Buckshot Esquire, if you will, LLC.
You forgot world famous.
World famous.
Oh, yeah.
I did. I totally did. Let me try it again. The world famous, authentic Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass Buckshot Esquire, if you will, LLC. Joining me.
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
You don't need to know this, but it's also my birthday today.
Happy
I don't know.
birthday
Wait, can we legally sing that?
to you.
I don't
mean,
know.
Happy birthday.
I think the broadcast rights for that we might get fined by
Well,
the.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Man. The
it's
FCC
a-
might outlaw my birthday. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
I'm
Play
not
it
sure.
safe. Play it
I
safe.
thought that was like a myth.
I haven't read up on the birthday FCC,
I'll check the magic rectangle.
tyranny that is forced upon us from time to time.
Can you sing "Happy Birthday" on the radio without getting
Oh
sued?
yeah, I think that's public domain. I
Okay.
think the song itself is public domain.
Okay.
Nobody owns.
So,
the
well, someone
copyright.
owned it for a while, and that's why these myths persist.
Okay. Well,
Like all the restaurants, they don't do the happy birthday song because you got to pay a royalty.
well, they always do the "It's your birthday, it's your birthday, it's your birthday." Da,
Right.
Da, da, da,
But the reason they give for doing that is because
they
happy
can't
birthday.
sing "Happy
can't-
Birthday" in a
yeah.
public.
There's a restaurant. I'm not going to name them, but they, instead of knowing who the birthday person is when they get all the wait people and get your people to come out and sing the birthday song.
Yeah.
Instead of instead of "Happy Birthday, Steve Classic," right?
Yeah.
They come out and go, "Happy birthday from our restaurant," right? But they name the restaurant, right? It's so that nobody has to know the name. Right,
Right,
they just
Anonymous,
now it's and also they're branding at the same time, right? What is the magic rectangle?
The
reveal?
magic rectangle says "Happy Birthday to You," or simply "Happy Birthday" is a song traditionally sung to celebrate a person's birthday.
Wow, who would have guessed that?
You don't say.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
This
The
does
song
not
is
be
in
Google's
the public
AI.
domain in the United States. Public domain in the United States and the EU, European Union.
I believe it's pronounced ew.
Does it say when it entered the public domain?
So Warner Chappell Music had previously claimed copyright on the song in the U.S. and collected licensing fees for its use. And in 2015, the copyright claim was declared invalid.
Yeah, they
and
can
Warner
kiss my
Chappell
ass.
agreed to pay back $14 million in licensing fees. So we can sing it.
I had already started.
Maybe we could have a caller. Maybe Gigi.
Yeah,
She
I'm
calls
really
in.
not that into it. I just wanted to mention it because it's also my 5-year anniversary in New Hampshire.
All right.
5 years ago today, I airdropped myself.
Happy anniversary! Happy anniversary! Happy anniversary! Happy anniversary!
It was a hard fork from Seattle, huh?
into New Hampshire. I actually left on I want to say it was like the night of the 24th. So I had booked my flight so far in advance that it only cost me I think it was like $120 to fly
Round
from
trip?
Seattle. No, one way.
Oh, one way.
To fly from Seattle to here.
I mean, sometimes
Just
you
in
have
case.
to buy a round trip ticket, but you only use half of it.
Okay.
And by here I mean to Manchester, New Hampshire. Now, for those of you not familiar with New Hampshire's geography, Keene, New Hampshire, where we're at now, is a little more than an hour's drive, hour and 20.
50 miles or so away.
Something like that. So it was a long Uber ride.
No
from
freeway.
You
from
could
the
get a
airport
flight,
to
though.
here.
You could fly from Manchester to Keene.
Well, it wasn't available commercially. So what
Gotta
I
know
did,
that.
I
Your
bought
NetJet, you couldn't have
I bought this
used your
super-
fractional G5.
I bought this super cheap ticket, and what it did is it flew me from Seattle to L.A., from L.A. to Minneapolis, from Minneapolis to Atlanta, from
Come on.
Atlanta to D.C., and from D.C. to Manchester.
Five
All right.
hop.
That's a
Holy
lot of
cow.
zigzags.
But it was cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Right.
I had a good hour or more layover at each place. And fortunately, the timing worked out to where I think there was only one place where everything was closed. And so the rest of it, there was something open. I could go have a beer, a cocktail, or sandwich or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then I get to Manchester and I'm like, all right, well, guess I got to get an Uber. And I actually rented a car, but I didn't have a credit card. I had several debit cards, right? Multiple accounts, that kind of thing. But I didn't have a credit card, quote unquote. And so, I was like, I'm here to get my reservation. It was all confirmed. They took my debit card as the card to reserve the thing. So I'm like, it must be good.
Okay.
And then they denied me. And I'm like, I was upset. So I gave them my earful. And they were like, sorry. And I'm like, you're sorry. All right.
They're at the keyboard. Let me see if we can.
So I go outside, get on
His
the-
first experience of the culture of mediocrity.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Right at the airport upon
Right.
landing.
Yeah, there was-
Welcome
it
to New Hampshire.
It wasn't hiding.
We
or
can't
anything
help
like
you. Well, we can, but we don't want to.
So then I got the world's most expensive Uber ride, and it probably was
more expensive than the plane ticket?
It was. Well, it was. I think it was $110 after tip. Right.
Wow.
So this is 2019. Right?
Okay.
So inflation.
Right, so that's a $300
wasn't
ticket.
Quite what it was or what it is now. So that same ride today probably $150.
Easy.
I'm guessing Uber style. So, but yeah, I sight unseen rented an apartment. It wasn't ready the day that I got here. I got a hotel for 2 nights or whatever that was within walking distance of all the downtown stuff and also the apartment that I rented. And so I just had to wait and go meet the landlord, sign the actual thing after looking at the place and
Meet
and
the
that kind of thing.
bartenders.
I knew no one. I'm not like some of these other people who well, we're going to come to New Hampshire for Pork Fest and meet a bunch of people, or we're going to come, whenever and fly in and drive around the state and figure out I'm like, nah, I'm just going to
Sight
airdrop
unseen,
myself. Because I tried 5 years before that and I rolled my car on black ice, my Toyota 4Runner or whatever. So I was just like, no, I'm just doing it. I'm not, none of this, because I don't want to pay for that trip twice, man. That's almost
That's how I
3,000
felt.
miles, right?
Yeah.
For you, it's probably 3,000 miles. I think it's 20
More, 'cause it's from Hawaii.
Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
So, I was just like, nope, I'm going to do it because I've moved before. I wasn't toting a family or a wife or anything, single guy, right? So if I get there and I hang out and I don't like it, I can leave. Right? If you don't like it, you can
You
always
had the round
leave.
trip plane ticket, didn't you?
No.
But the Uber ride back was just the same price.
Right.
So anyway, 5 years ago today.
All right.
And
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, thanks. I showed up here at 47. I'm 52 now. So,
Do the math.
I purposely
That's wait. 5
I purposely
years?
didn't like I'm a little overdue for the shaving of the head and the beard and stuff. There's a little extra gray in it today because I figured at some point I'll go back and look at the video from the first show I ever did, and then look at the video from tonight's show and be like, yep, I can tell I aged 5 years in that process.
He's going to diet for Beer Talk Live.
Diet?
Yeah.
I violated my diet today.
Oh.
It's my freaking birthday.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Right? I had a burger with a bun.
Oh.
Yeah.
A double burger.
I had hush puppies.
Heaven forbid.
Oh,
I had hush puppies.
Okay.
I forewent. I don't even know if that's a...
foregone.
I did forego the French fries for the hush puppies
Okay.
at the
That burger looked
the
awesome.
barbecue
though,
place.
that he had.
And like, yeah, I ordered the burger, and it's the diner burger. I'm like, can I get that with bacon? She's like, yeah. Do you want double patty too? I'm like, yes, I do.
Good suggestion.
And then after eating it, I'm like, oh, why did I have the double patty?
Double patty and a brisket, please.
Yeah.
Didn't have the brisket.
So the fried
egg.
egg on top. I don't think that was the diner burger.
No, that's a breakfast burger.
It's a breakfast
It
burger.
actually is my favorite burger. I love the
Really?
breakfast
The
burger.
egg?
Yeah, bacon, egg, cheese, burger. Right, like you know. And then I'll like no tomato on that thing. Right, tomato just makes
It's
it
like a
too
breakfast
juicy.
sandwich with a burger in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
Parmesan
it's
onions?
It's the sautéed onions
Yeah.
specifically.
Okay.
On the breakfast burger. Yeah, delish.
Special sauce?
No,
No?
Not
Horseradish sauce or anything?
no. I
Ketchup?
mean, maybe a little ketchup. I actually don't. I prefer my burgers without ketchup, mustard, onions. I'm sorry, ketchup, mustard, and pickles.
Oh.
I like a pickle on the side.
All right.
But not on the burger. Lettuce is fine on the burger. Tomato, depending on the burger's apparent juiciness, tomato can like overwhelm it.
Well, I
make
think
it
that also
too
depends
soggy.
on the season. If you have a fresh tomato
Right.
versus a, ugh.
Tomato can make it soggy.
I think the sauce is also dependent on the quality of the meat,
The sauce.
right?
Yeah.
Like I
If
won't.
it's a good burger, you don't need the sauce.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what
I
I'm
don't.
saying, too.
I generally don't sauce a steak.
It's like
Right.
adding A1 steak sauce.
Yeah, no,
like,
no.
It
Yeah,
just
if
covers
you
it
go
up.
to a steakhouse and they're like, "Do you need A1?" You're like, "No."
No,
one-
you ask them. Do I?
Do I? Do I
Do
need?
I? How good is this steakhouse?
No, I've said this at steakhouses. They're like, "Do you need A1?" Like, nobody needs A1.
If you cooked it right.
If you go to a truck stop and order a steak,
Yeah.
right? Then like, how much A1 do you have?
A food truck.
This is
sells
going to need a little bit.
What was that old show? Mel's Diner and Alice Kiss My Grits.
Yeah.
Flo.
Flow.
Yeah, Flo.
Flo,
Thank you. It
Kiss
was
My
called.
Grits, yeah.
The show was called Alice.
Alice, yeah.
And it was that kind of diner food. Yeah, you're probably gonna.
Yeah.
I would not order a steak from that place though.
No.
Okay.
A burger. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Nice, greasy, gut bomb, all peppered up, leave you up in the hospital for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great.
Or a cheeseburger club is good at a diner. Club sandwich, but it's burger.
It's a Big Mac.
It's kind of like a Big Mac.
With sliced turkey and bacon?
Well, you could get that if you wanted. No, I'm just saying, like, instead of getting a turkey club,
Yeah.
you get a cheeseburger club.
It's just a cheeseburger then, a bacon cheeseburger.
No, because it's got the
It's a
third
club.
bread
It's
in
got
the
the
middle.
third bread and the
It's a Big Mac.
and it's got the lettuce and tomato up on the top. That's cool, and the burger on the bottom. Happy
You
birthday!
guys.
Happy birthday,
Guys.
Don't look at me. Like the middle bread is like the definition of a club. That's what makes it
Yeah,
a club.
That's
a
what
club.
makes it a club?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And it also separates the hot from the cold.
So how come I can order a club sandwich but as a wrap?
That's a failure in marketing.
Okay. All
It's an
right.
Americanization and a bastardization of a thing.
Well, good. I'm a bastard, so
Okay.
I feel good about my order now.
All right.
The Captain Club.
Let's see.
Unless they put in like a third tortilla in there.
I guess we're almost done with the first segment. We should start the show. 603-283-6160 is the phone number if you'd like to join us tonight. The big news, we talked a little bit about it last night because, well, Richie Rich, you pinged the hosts chat and let us know that Trump had said something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, that if you vote for him on day one, he will commute Ross Ulbricht's sentence to time served.
It was a pretty big deal for Trump to say at a libertarian convention.
Wait, I thought we were saving Trump for the number 2 story.
Well, we just got
No?
done talking about birthdays and burgers
all right.
and
Well,
stuff.
so this is the
So happy
number 2
birthday, Donald Trump.
Oh,
no, today's not his
okay.
birthday.
All right.
God, I
Sorry.
hope I'm not born on the same day. That
Happy anniversary,
Yeah,
Donald.
it is.
Well, I don't know.
you got to be able to keep your Bitcoin.
He also said that.
Yes, he did. But the way he said it was so
it'll
funny.
be the greatest Bitcoin you ever kept.
I will say, okay, so I will say this. Trump, in that speech, was getting heckled and booed,
Oh,
but turned into like a total Chad when he asked for the vote, right? Or the nomination.
yeah.
It's like, vote for me,
No, he didn't say me. He said vote Donald J. Trump.
Well, or nominate me, or just continue to get your 1 to 3%.
Yeah, you get your
every 4 years.
3%.
Yeah, like total chat. Like you can nominate a winner, right? Or you could get your 3%. It's up to you guys. I'll take the nomination or your vote. But if you want to be with a winner, you got to nominate me.
Join the winning team. Yeah.
Join the winning team.
Right.
So a couple of things have happened. It's not that I'm that plugged into libertarian news, and I don't really follow the Libertarian National LNC.
Look, to be fair, neither did
closely.
I. But I got home from dinner, and I immediately went to the John, and that's what I scrolled up to, and it was like, boom, it was right there, and I just turned it on.
Top story.
Top story.
So it really is
It's
the number two story.
It is. You're going to be able to keep your
Because Richie Rich
Bitcoin.
was on the pot.
That's exactly what happened. I open up Facebook because to doom scroll while I'm doing the business.
So
It's just right there.
It was the number 2
So
story.
the first thing I noticed that happened is that, like, yesterday, that whole bash in D.C., the LNC thing was going on. Like, Mark Edge is down there giving a presentation. There's some other people down there doing stuff. There's, banners with, like, Ross and Ian and Roger
Free
Ver
State Project,
and all that
passports.
stuff. Yeah, and so there's this whole big thing going on. And also the LNC was supposed to reveal their presidential nominee for this year. And so the first thing that I noticed happened or didn't happen was any
publicitization.
Any publicity for said nominee. Right now, that should have been the big news coming out of the Libertarian National gathering that happened down there. The big news should have been, hey, everybody, if you're going to be a part of the Libertarian Party, here's the candidate that we're nominating for president.
That's the whole purpose of the convention.
Yeah.
That is the main purpose of
it
the
was usurped.
But Robert
Trump.
Donald J. Trump, you're going to be able to keep your Bitcoin.
Tronald Dump stole the thunder.
Apparently, RFK tried to steal some thunder too. Apparently, he passed out rubber chickens or something.
That's great.
That they wanted to, because Trump wouldn't debate him, so he's calling Trump a chicken. So he had passed out rubber chickens.
It turned into just a media circus.
What a circus! An actual circus. Yeah. Like, you've got the clown guy with all the makeup. That's Trump.
Yeah.
And then you've got the court jester. That's RFK passing out the chickens. Wow, amazing. So
Vivek Ramaswamy wanted libertarian nationalism to be the big thing.
Well, I think he was trying to say, to get into the cabinet, to join.
What the hell is libertarian nationalism?
Don't look at me, dude. I'm the anarchist.
I'm looking at you.
Okay.
You're across the table. I cannot help it.
Don't expect me to have a good answer for oxymorons.
Or Zymorons.
Or libertarian morons.
I like to pronounce it.
That's also redundant.
What?
I said, or libertarian morons, but that's also redundant.
Oh, snap.
The Department of Redundancy Department.
Yeah, you could say that again.
The Department of Redundancy Department.
Yes. It's an echoing dual repetitive redundancy.
An echoing dual repetitive redundancy?
You can say that again.
An echoing dual repetitive redundancy.
That's right. So that's
what's the phone number again? Please, someone call it.
There's 2 calls on hold. I just haven't screened them yet.
Okay.
So we'll do that coming up. But so the first thing I noticed was there's no publicity for whoever the Libertarian Party nominated for president. And then the second thing is, we'll figure that out here in a minute.
The number 2
nice
thing.
cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That's right. The phone number is 603-283-6160. It is the Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live with the Captain, Steve Classic, and Richie Rich here for you. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be the best show.
It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful.
Say that again.
You can keep your Bitcoin. You can get more coming up.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
You can help more people hear the message of liberty by joining Free Talk Live's AMPS program on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And you'll get access to special perks. Visit amps.freetalklive.com, amps.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Hire with your Week in Review, a roundup of what's been making headlines in past days.
I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
In the pouring rain and battling the sound of a loudspeaker system, Rishi Sunak confirmed that Britain will be heading to the polls. Following frenzied speculation and swirling rumours in the hallways of London, the UK's Prime Minister took to the steps of number 10 Downing Street on Wednesday to set the date. Earlier in the week, the United States condemned the International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor for seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas senior figures. The ICC application is directed at Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant over war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza, and it targets Hamas leaders for their involvement in the deadly October 7th attack. Separately, the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to halt its military offensive in the southern Gazan city of Rafah, where hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians are still sheltering. William Dentolo reports from the ICJ in The Hague.
It was an overwhelming ruling from the 15-member panel of the ICJ ordering Israel to cease its military operation in Rafah to allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza as well. The ICJ has ordered Israel to, within a month, check back in to ensure they're complying with this order, also to allow unhindered access when it comes to UN investigators into Gaza going forward as well. Israel has long maintained that it is complying with international humanitarian law, and it's doing what it can to protect civilian life, but the message from the ICJ is overwhelming, that they say that Israel needs to do more on that front.
The United Nations top court is also investigating whether Israel has violated the Genocide Convention, charges Israel strongly denies. That case was brought by South Africa. Meanwhile, the UN has resumed transporting humanitarian aid arriving at a US-built pier off the coast of the Gaza Strip. Deliveries were halted earlier this week due to security reasons. Back in Europe,
recognition is an act of powerful, political and symbolic value.
Irish Premier Simon Harris has announced his country will recognise Palestine as an independent state, a decision he says not against Israel nor in favour of Hamas, but in support of peace. The step, also taken by Norway and Spain, and in the past by more than 140 nations, has been described as distorted by Israel, but it's been welcomed by Hamas and its rival, the Palestinian Authority. And that was your Week in Review.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Come on! And we're back! Yeah!
Still doing his vocal exercises.
And we're back, and we're back, and we're back. And we're back, and we're back, and we're back, and we're back, and we're back. And we're back, and we're back, and we're back, 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 and we're back. That's a long read. And we're back, 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 and we're back. Oh, man.
And back. Back.
We've carried that as far as it could possibly be carried.
Further than it needed to.
At least.
Yeah.
Every Sunday on Free Talk Live.
It just keeps getting worse and worse.
It does. So
the jokes get more meta every time.
So that's Octopodes.
Octopodes.
It's a callback to
nothing.
Something.
Probably,
only long-time listeners.
Probably 4 years ago.
What was the other one?
Abiogenesis.
Abiogenesis. Thank you. I always forget that one.
Yeah.
I remember Octopodes, but I always forget abiogenesis. Anyway, to make the show more interesting, let's go to this caller. I believe this is Jerome. I think it's a soft J.
Choo-choo.
Trump train.
Choo-choo. Choo-choo.
Jerome, you're on Free Talk Live.
Are you finished? Are you done yet?
Oh, no, we got like...
One more time then. Trump train.
Trump train. Choo-choo. Trump train.
The libertarians are coming. The libertarians are coming. I deliver the children.
Yeah.
The libertarians are coming.
Yeah.
You only have to hide the children if they're ANCAPs.
And they're not in a good mood now.
They're all out of bubble gum.
You know, this morning I got up and said, Jerome, you just never know what you're going to see when you turn on the old telly. You just never know what you're going to see. And what do I see?
Trump train!
A libertarian convention. And what did I see? Who did I see at the libertarian convention?
Non-libertarians.
Trump train!
America's favorite slut / Republican presidential nominee / cheater / convicted fondler.
What do you have against Vivek Ramaswamy?
Vivek. Hey, look, I'm trying to get over Nikki Haley first, okay? One thing at a time, all right?
Wait, you got a crush on Nikki Haley?
Yeah, I got something to crush her with, but it's not called a crush. Two-faced Nikki. Now, is that the part? How many faces does that party have?
It's Jerome the Hammer calling from South Carolina.
How many faces did that party have?
I don't know.
They put the three faces of Eve to shame. You know that?
I think between Nikki Haley and what was her name, Boebert?
Lauren Boebert.
I think I'll take Boebert.
Okay.
And
she seems kinkier.
Tim
Okay.
Scott,
Boebert or AOC?
Tim Scott. Then you got who's the guy? Byron Donald.
That's tough.
Byron,
And would you watch the porn if they did one?
Four-faced Donald.
Okay.
You talk about suffering with an identity crisis. And by the way, that was just wrong the way y'all treated old Donald J. at the Libertarian Convention.
Well, so
don't group us in.
Yeah,
on that.
None of us here tonight
was
were
not
there. We were not present for any of that. However, I would like to just balance it out and say that as he came out, he was being booed, but somehow that turned into a joyous eruption.
It vacillated.
Not the good kind.
It vacillated.
Almost like a bimbo eruption, huh? Anyway.
He was booed in some sections, and then he pandered, and he got the cheers.
Yeah.
And they said something
Vote
stupid.
for me and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother, rap on. Yeah, right. Okay.
Like if I had to vote, Jerome, if somebody was pointing a gun at my head saying you must vote, I would probably vote for Jerome.
Yeah, no, you do like Nikki Haley. You call him unhinged, crazy, fool, stupid, but I'm still going to vote for him.
Well, I mean, I call you those things too, so why wouldn't I vote for you?
But that's okay. See?
He's not running for president.
I know you love me. See, I know you love me.
Yes, but only in a friendly, brotherly way.
Yeah,
Platonic.
Yeah. Or any other way you would choose to. Anyway.
All right, it's a family-friendly show here.
Yes.
Yes, it is. And let's keep it that. Are you libertarians? You mean-spirited libertarians. Let's keep it that way, okay? You're not supposed to boo a man running. He's running for president. God,
he's not a libertarian.
Yeah.
Speaking at a libertarian convention.
Whoever booked him for the LNC did the libertarians a disservice.
It would be great if Joe Biden was also presenting to the libertarians and just see how far he could have gotten with that crowd.
Not as far as Trump got.
Don't y'all know nothing? Don't y'all know there'll be a chicken in every pot if Donald Trump were president again?
A rubber chicken.
No, yeah, that's a rubber chicken if RFK got president.
Yeah, we covered this already, Jerome. Anything else you want to say to the bastard or Steve Classic or Richie?
I just want to say that watching the reaction at the Libertarian Convention, it's been a long time since I had an orgasm like that. I'm telling you.
Wow.
That's a family-friendly show here.
Well, not anymore. It is.
Yeah, well.
Jerome, I'm sorry. Thank you for the call.
Call back. We'll write a song about you.
I don't even know if there was a female speaker.
Let's move over to this guy. I think this is Phil. Says he's calling from the LNC. Phil, you're on Free Talk Live.
I'm actually calling from China Express in Alexandria, Virginia.
China.
There you go.
But the wife is still at the convention right now. She's a member of the Libertarian Party. I could care less. But I have reports from the convention for you.
All right, go ahead.
Fire away.
You be our remote correspondent. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, the chair of the Libertarian National Party is Angela whatever her last name is, McCardle, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever she is.
McCardle?
But it's been a complete clown show since I've been there. It's been boring. They still don't have a presidential nominee. They're still voting.
Really?
It was supposed to be over. Correct.
Oh.
It's between
That's why there's no
three
announcement.
candidates. None of them matter. They're all awful.
Who's the top ones in the running?
What
Like,
about
are the-
Lars? What's up with Lars?
Lars is out. He was eliminated last round. He was probably the only one who I would vote for if I voted. Right now we got Chase Oliver. Who else we got? We got Rechtenwald, who's terrible, and then we got Mike Termott. I don't even know who that is.
Are any of them libertarians?
Not really.
Okay.
Chase Oliver is probably the most libertarian of the group.
Look, you can put me on the ticket. I promise you'll be able to keep your Bitcoin.
Oh yeah. No, the Trump yesterday was a complete debacle. That's why now the reason why that the Libertarian National Convention is still going on is because of Trump. Yesterday, for one, he was late. Two, it's Angela is the reason why Trump was there yesterday. Trump asked the Libertarian Party to speak, and she gave him permission.
Wow.
He also asked for the nomination, and apparently he's not going to get that, at least.
He did, and he was pandering with the whole. On my first day, I'm going
You better pull the car over.
to free Ross.
Yeah. Do you need to run away from those sirens, man? Or you're in DC.
It's a fire. It's a fire truck. Okay. So yeah, this whole thing. I mean, I was chanting "Free Ian." I mean, not that matters. I don't think.
Hey, thank you. At least somebody was.
Thank you for your chanting.
Yeah. I met Mark the other day at the event. I lost my voice. I was doing punk rock karaoke.
Nice.
And I got a mosh going at the
Nice.
karaoke spot.
Well, at least it's not all bad.
Voluntary
Yeah, so
smashing
that was-
people's faces in.
Donald
was
Trump
the-
crowd
that was the-
surfing.
Yeah. Well, and just basically right now, it's just been a complete clown show. Like just libertarians arguing with each other. And Dave Smith is a chump, and he is not the face of the Libertarian Party. I want to say that right now. Dave Smith is a chump. He was simping for Trump. Oh, you got to listen to Trump. We are libertarians. He's telling us what libertarians are. He's trying to define. Oh, we're no better than the college kids. Yeah, Trump shouldn't have been in front of the Libertarian Party to begin with. He has no place there. If you want to, if you want to have a different event for Trump, that's fine. But this was to elect a presidential candidate, not to listen to some Republican.
So to play devil's advocate real quick, would the Libertarian nomination convention be getting this many headlines if Trump wasn't there?
Obviously not.
So can there be
but
something
I don't-
said to the value he adds by just getting more media attention on the Libertarians?
I mean, possibly you could make that argument, but you could also make the argument if you gave RFK the nomination, you'd raise more money. So, I mean, you can have different arguments either way.
Yeah.
But I think that, if anything else, the Libertarian Party should stand for principle. But, I mean, it's just such a clown show these days. I mean, I don't know how it was back in the day.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
But
I
per
haven't been
Trump's
involved.
point, being the party of principle got them 3% year after year after year, election after election after election.
Which really speaks to the lack of principles that most people have, right?
Well, I mean, and look at our presidential candidates. The candidates, none of them can hold a room. You need someone who's going to, because basically we're not going to win the election. We know this. You have to have a candidate who's going to be able to go up in front of a group of people, be able to bring people in. He's got to be charismatic. I mean, it could be a woman too.
Sure.
So I don't want to. Okay, I'm not going to be go down that route.
Fine.
But you need a person who's going to be able to command a room. You're going to need a person who can bring in people from the outside and explain liberty to someone who doesn't get it. Because so many people are close. I believe we can bring in people because they're that close. If you go talk to a random person, they're going to be a lot closer to liberty than you'd think. And then there's people who are so far gone, you're not going to bring them in anyways.
I was going to ask about Ramaswamy. Did you any read on his speech, or did he speak, or is he just at large?
He spoke. I mean, I was there. I talked to him a little bit because my wife did an interview with him, and he remembered her. So back in the day, she worked for Stossel. So
okay, yeah.
Yeah. I talked to him a little bit. He seems like a decent guy, but I mean, I give him credit. He got up in front of a group of libertarians, got booed, and still spoke, gave his opinions on things. And I felt like I respected for what he did, but I still don't believe that there was a place for him there.
Yeah. I don't think he speaks from a teleprompter, though, right? He was just speaking off the cuff?
Nope. Off the cuff, yeah. He had no teleprompter.
Right.
He was up there. I give him all the credit in the world. I have nothing bad to say about Vivek and what he did. I mean, I guess you can bring him for a different perspective because with Vivek, you're not going to run into these mile-long security lines like you do with Trump. That's the issue with Trump.
And I'm told that Trump's crew took down certain posters and things like that. They had to separate the crowd and go through additional security before he spoke. And then I'm assuming Trump had teleprompters.
Oh, of course he did.
Yeah.
You know he did.
Yeah.
But I mean, he did, and he lit up when he was talking about himself.
No, really?
You don't say.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he was booed. Excuse me?
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was saying he was booed. I'll give him credit. He did. I mean, he did pander. Oh, Bitcoin! You'll be able to keep your Bitcoin.
You'll keep your Bitcoin.
Free Ross birthday. But see, here's the thing. Like, do you believe he's going to do it? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't believe he's going to free Ross. I don't believe he's going to free Ian. I mean, it would be great. I mean, I go out. I've never voted before. I'm 33 years old. Never voted in my life. But I'd vote for him if he was going to free Ross. Free Ian.
Would you give him credit if those things did happen?
I would. Yeah. I'd honestly. I'd 100%.
Okay.
Part of the problem is politicians have never been held accountable to their political promises,
including Trump.
For sure.
Right. So.
You have to take it with a grain of salt.
There's a handful of people who have already come out and said, well, now Trump has my vote because he agreed to pardon Ross.
Right.
Like close members of the host community.
Right. It's like Lucy with the football,
Yeah. And maybe. Yeah.
She's going to take it away.
Oh, yeah. Well, I tried, but my hands were tied. It's just.
The deep state said no, couldn't do it.
So I want to go back real quick before we move on to one of the things you said. You mentioned some qualities that the libertarian candidate must have. Now, I'll sidebar for a moment to say that I'm a big fan of professional wrestling. The hosts know this.
It's sports entertainment.
That depends.
Oh,
I'm also a fan of professional wrestling.
Okay, all right.
And one of the things that you must do as a professional wrestling organization is develop new stars.
Right.
So there's
bring in the new talent.
Bring in new talent, but also develop current talent.
Right.
So there's a bunch of people, like the Libertarian Party exists in, I don't know, probably all 50 states, right? And then the National Party.
There's no one in the bullpen.
Well, that's the thing. So what is the party doing to develop charismatic leaders who can take a national stage, command an audience, right? Move people towards liberty if they're not, right?
Well, they're always fighting with themselves.
Well, sure, but surely someone could step up.
Unite the party?
Well,
you need someone to unite the party.
I mean, or recruit a celebrity who already has libertarian tendencies, right? They're out there.
Yeah, like James Woods.
He's more conservative, but like Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson
identifies as an anarchist. Go ahead,
Phil.
I was going to say they tried to do that with Dave Smith, but he is definitely not the guy. And I guess
not even a libertarian.
No, he's not. And the thing is, like, he's cosplaying, and just the idea that he gets up in front of us and says, "Oh, we got to listen to Trump. Trump's going to be the guy." He's simping for Trump, and I just believe, like, and then you got letting Trump speak at the convention. I just think, and she got voted again for whatever. I'm over it. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for the wife, I could care less about the Libertarian Party. I think it's dead. I mean, unless you got, like I said, unless you got a principled guy. I mean, if you got Ron Paul 40 years ago.
Right.
Well, principled guy, but also has to be like, there's plenty of principled guys, right? Or a handful of them at least.
Sure.
But they don't have the charisma to hold the room.
Right.
Yeah, you can't have some 300-pound neckbeard who's principled getting up in front and trying to bring in people from outside because
or run naked across the stage.
Exactly. I mean, I love Ron Paul, but his speech he gave today, we've heard it. Like, I mean, I love Ron Paul. It was great. But the thing is, everyone in that room respected what that man was saying. And you need someone like that, but someone who's younger, who has the look, and can be, and you can go down to college campuses and they'll listen to you. Yeah. That's who you need.
Well, and you got to develop that. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. There's no one.
The party has to have a mechanism to develop that.
There's no new draft picks for the Libertarian Party,
and there's no way to pull Vivek into
or mentors, right, who have done it,
right,
training people how to do it,
right.
Right?
Hey,
that's
Phil,
what you need.
Phil, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate your report from the middle of the clown show known as the LNC. We appreciate you. Let's move on over to. Hold on just a second. We got a thing to do before we do this. All right.
Oh my God, it's Skeeter on the line again. He keeps calling, talking about evolutionary capitalism. I don't want to pick up, but it's a call-in radio show. Yes, I'll have to listen to Skeeter ramble some more.
All right.
I thought you were going to introduce Aria to this new musical intros last night.
No, I'm like Sundays only.
Oh, okay.
Sundays only. It's a special little treat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sunday
Gigi
treat.
called last night. I was like, "Where's my music?" I'm
He's
like,
like, Sundays only. Okay.
Scroter, you're on Free Talk
And
Live.
you guys saved Aria. You saved Aria last night. You cut me off before I could respond to her silly claims of voluntarism. I was about to tear it down in front of your faces. But I'll catch her when she starts hosting.
Yeah, which should
But
be
I just wanna
relatively
start out
soon,
by,
so you'll have your opportunity.
Yeah, I will. But I just want to start out by saying to all the boys in blue, thank you for your service.
Oh, God.
To all the men in the military, thank you for your service.
Memorial Day's
To
not
all the
till Monday, right?
politicians and government employees, thank you for your service. Don't throw away your vote, you libertarian hippies.
Hey,
vote for the accelerationist candidate.
Hey, Skeeter.
Why are you thanking people for their
have
service if you're the accelerationist guy?
I have a question for you.
What's that?
I have
because,
a question for you.
The government employees are the cure to the disease once you realize that government is immoral because they waste money. And parasites are the cure to the disease.
So why are you thanking them for their
service? Not what you guys advocate for.
Oh, like we need a good bloodletting and some leeches?
No, what Schroeder wants is he wants the government to grow even larger as fast as it possibly can. And in fact, he would like everybody to be working for the government.
Right,
so
then no one would hate
debt.
government employees because everyone's a government employee.
Because it's debt that's going to get rid of democracy,
uncle, my grandma.
not repeal. Do you understand that?
I'm sorry,
it's
say that
debt
again?
and collapse that's going to get. It's debt and collapse that's going to get rid of democracy, not repeal and all this bullcrap that you guys advocate for. You guys are actually slowing down that process.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
advocating
In
to
fact, I
repeal
think
stuff like-
we're preparing for that process by talking about it now. We're
preparing for what? No, you're
for
you're
the
slowing
collapse.
it down.
No, not at all.
You're slowing it down by
Nothing
by
I do
advocating
is
against the war.
slowing down the Federal Reserve's financial collapse
When
of
you
the U.S.
advocate
dollar.
against war, when you vote against war, when you vote against the drug war, when you vote against things like qualified immunity.
Well, luckily for me,
all
I
of
don't
these
vote.
Things, all of your advocations for a repeal of laws that make government more unprofitable slows down this process, and you are slowing down progress. You're slowing down true progress.
You
but
can't
that's not
stop
really
progress.
what I want to talk about, though.
Well, I just went to the U.S.
Hold on.
I just went to the U.S. debt clock, and since we've been on the air, the debt has not slowed down.
And that's you don't see
gotta speed it
opportunity
up.
costs though. But if you get the stuff, if you get the stuff you want passed, like repeal of drug laws, repeal stopping wars, repealing qualified immunity, all these things.
So if we get all this freedom, then how is that
make
bad?
the government balance sheet healthier. Man, I didn't hear that.
If we get all these things, how does that if we get all these freedoms, how's that bad?
Because all those things are unprofitable. It adds to the debt.
No, it isn't.
Because they don't have any revenue. Those laws don't generate revenue. They just add to their spending and add to the debt
Skeeter,
that they can't repay.
Skeeter, I have a very serious question for you. Are you ready?
I wanted to talk about something else, though.
Yeah, hold on, you got to listen to my question.
okay.
Are you ready? All
Okay,
right.
but you got to take me.
Does
you gotta
this
not end the call after
Skater?
this.
Skater? Does this sound like a phone hanging up on you?
Finally, someone did it. I've been pitching that gag for years now. Thank you, Captain.
Happy birthday to me.
The old shock jock Don Imus used to say when he was pissed off at a caller, he goes, "Let me hear you hang up the phone." That was his thing. Let me hear you hang up the phone.
So since we didn't get to talk much after Phil hung up, I just, there are a bunch of promises that Donald J. Trump made during his first campaign in 2016. Is that the right year?
Yep.
Okay.
15?
I was told
He
there'd
was
be
elected in 16?
Well, I mean, the campaign started, but the election was 2016.
Yeah. So roughly half of them could be construed as kept. Some of them are kind of questionable, but he at least made progress on, the one half.
There were certain policies implemented early on in his tenure that you could give him a golf clap for.
Right.
Okay.
However, there were quite a few of them that he in no way, shape, or form kept, and I have a short list of them right here. Rebuilding national infrastructure, including roads and bridges and that type of stuff.
And the wall?
The wall, actually, 5 miles were built that didn't exist before.
So is that a promise kept?
Well, he did say he would build the wall and Mexico would pay for it, which Mexico never did pay for a dime. And in fact, it was allotted taxpayer dollars that went to refurbish any of the existing wall and then add another 5 miles to it.
Okay.
So not much progress. That one's, yeah.
I mean, when I think of the wall, I think of like the wall.
Congressional term limits were never put into play. He promised to do that. He promised to never take a vacation, and he took multiple vacations.
What's a vacation?
He promised to institute a national right to carry concealed weapons, which he did not do. He promised to eliminate gun-free zones in schools and military bases. That did not happen. And the biggest one for me, drain the swamp. In fact, the swamp got bigger than it ever was before and was definitely not drained. 603-283-6160. Hour number 2 of Free Talk Live is next. Don't go anywhere.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 13th through the 16th for the 8th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which has sold out in recent years. Fork Fest happens the weekend before the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Fork Fest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 13th through the 16th. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the ForkFest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the ForkFest forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there June 13th through the 16th. forkfest.party. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.fm.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Hire with your Week in Review, a roundup of what's been making headlines in past days.
I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
In the pouring rain and battling the sound of a loudspeaker system, Rishi Sunak confirmed that Britain will be heading to the polls. Following frenzied speculation and swirling rumours in the hallways of London, the UK's Prime Minister took to the steps of number 10 Downing Street on Wednesday to set the date. Earlier in the week, the United States condemned the International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor for seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas senior figures. The ICC application is directed at Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant over war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza, and it targets Hamas leaders for their involvement in the deadly October 7th attack. Separately, the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to halt its military offensive in the southern Gazan city of Rafah, where hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians are still sheltering. William Dentelow reports from the ICJ in The Hague.
It was an overwhelming ruling from the 15-member panel of the ICJ ordering Israel to cease its military operation in Rafah to allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza as well. The ICJ has ordered Israel to, within a month, check back in to ensure they're complying with this order, also to allow unhindered access when it comes to UN investigators into Gaza going forward as well. Israel has long maintained that it is complying with international humanitarian law, and it's doing what it can to protect civilian life, but the message from the ICJ is overwhelming, that they say that Israel needs to do more on that front.
The United Nations top court is also investigating whether Israel has violated the Genocide Convention, charges Israel strongly denies. That case was brought by South Africa. Meanwhile, the UN has resumed transporting humanitarian aid arriving at a US-built pier off the coast of the Gaza Strip. Deliveries were halted earlier this week due to security reasons. Jody Jacobs is at the UN headquarters in New York.
Amidst mounting global pressure to allow more aid into Gaza and especially Rafah, the UN's humanitarian aid deliveries were dealt a heavy blow this week. But the world body has announced that it has implemented a new route, resuming deliveries from the US-built pier. The UN currently coordinates the aid distribution from the floating dock. However, it says aid deliveries by land remains the most viable and effective way to combat the humanitarian crisis. The World Food Programme reported on Friday that if food and humanitarian supplies do not begin to enter Gaza in massive quantities, desperation and hunger will spread, with Rafah being the most affected.
Back in Europe,
recognition is an act of powerful political and symbolic value. It is an expression of our view that Palestine holds and should be able to vindicate the full rights of a state, including self-determination, self-governance, territorial integrity and security, as well as recognising Palestine's own obligations under international law.
Irish Premier Simon Harris has announced his country will recognise Palestine as an independent state, a decision he says not against Israel nor in favour of Hamas, but in support of peace. The step, also taken by Norway and Spain, and in the past by more than 140 nations, has been described as distorted by Israel, but it's been welcomed by Hamas and its rival, the Palestinian Authority. Thousands of Iranians gathered to mourn the passing of President Ibrahim Raisi. He was killed in a helicopter crash in northern Iran last weekend alongside the country's foreign minister. And the prosecution in Donald Trump's hush money trial rested, with his defense team questioning witnesses, though the former US president won't be testifying at this criminal trial, the first of 4 he faces as he vies for the Oval Office again. He's alleged to have falsified business records in the run-up to the 2016 presidential election to cover up payments to porn star Stormy Daniels in return for her silence about an affair. From outside the courthouse in New York, here's Sally Patterson.
It's the beginning of the end in Donald Trump's hush money case. the first criminal trial against a US president in history. Up next, closing arguments, and then the jury goes out to deliberate. If found guilty, Trump could end up behind bars. He's pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts, claiming the trial is an effort by his political opponents to keep him off the campaign trail in the lead up to November's presidential election.
And that was your Week in Review.
Frustrated with his increased workload and a litany of interpersonal problems, CLG software project manager William Garston brought a list of grievances Thursday to his supervisor Todd Watkins, an utterly powerless office functionary with no actual ability to resolve any problems.
Oh, no. I'm really glad that you're bringing this to me. This is great.
The 15-minute interaction, which was taken seriously by both parties, involved Garston laying out a series of work-related issues he's had recently, absolutely none of which Watkins has even the slightest authority to address.
Again, I'm sorry to be bothering you with all this stuff, Todd. I've reached a point where
This is important. We're gonna sort all this out.
Sources added that throughout the conversation, Watkins continually nodded his head and repeatedly assured Garston that his problems would be considered a top priority, despite the fact that he lacked the necessary clout to foster any change whatsoever within the company.
This is the Onion News Network.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
That's going to sound really interesting without the bumper music underneath it.
Right.
For those of you who are going to listen to the podcast later, that's going to be...
Boy, AMP subscribers, you're going to get your money's worth on that one.
Certainly are. 603-283-6160. The phones are packed.
So I just have to, I'm only going to throw this out once. Without the bumper music playing on the podcast.
Yes.
We have the song for the three of us that was written by a caller and a friend of the show, Mira.
Yeah.
And we've never played the song.
You know,
but we
put it
could
in
easily play
in the podcast.
the
You mean
song.
just for the podcast?
Well, I don't know if they can do that in automation.
Oh,
but like
there are certain wizardries beyond my capability.
right. But what I'm saying is, if the podcast is going to have that audio, it would also have the song. Right? Even though it doesn't have the bumper music.
I could go steal that audio later on after it's published already, and then put the song like just for fun, right? But it's not going to show up in the podcast.
Okay.
I get that's what you're asking, but
just play it on air concurrently with the bumper music so that the podcast has a song.
Well, that'd be messy.
That's not how the automation part works. And if the automation was working, I could probably do what you're asking.
Okay.
Because it's not, I can't even do that.
All right, this is boring for listeners.
Yes. At any rate, before we go on,
I mean, when you hit the play button on like Skeeter's music, it just plays on the podcast. So if you just hit
it's not automated. The captain has to.
I'm not right. So I'm saying play
the bumper
song.
music.
No, don't play the bumper music because
Play
that's
the song.
Play the song.
But then we'd be hearing the song
and the bumper music
and the bumper
at the
music
same time, and that's bad
yeah.
radio.
Right.
Okay.
It'd be like playing,
but it'd be good podcast.
Correct.
It'd be good podcast.
Yes.
Right.
It would be
which
slightly,
gets more listeners.
It would be slightly improved podcast.
Okay.
Yes, it would be. Before we go on, Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency made for spending. Dash transactions are irreversible, so Dash is great for merchants. Plus, its network is protected from 51% attacks by its chain locks technology. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month for this sponsorship. It's easy to get and easy to use Dash. You can learn more at dash.org. That's dash.org. Let's go to the phones. The lines are packed. If you're having trouble getting in, keep trying. 603-283-6160. Let's kick things off with Mr. David Ridley calling from New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, so I had reason to try and contact a New Hampshire court, a district court.
Sorry to hear that.
And the reason that's just background. It's just I was just looking into something. Somebody made some allegations, and I wanted to see if the court could verify them.
Okay.
And so I went to email the court, and I wound up, when I looked for Goffstown District Court, I wound up on the state website, and it had a list of all the different district courts, and then it listed their email addresses. But then it said this, quote, "Each circuit court is assigned an email address for restricted use. As required by Circuit Court Administrative Order 2021-06, permitted emails must be sent with a completed restricted email cover sheet in HJB 2871-DFP, along with the documents for filing," unquote.
And so you plug that email address into all the porn sites to subscribe.
I'm sure they've already dealt with that.
Okay.
It's just a reminder of how not accessible even the least bad government in the world is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, does that policy have any weight to it?
Now they won't. I did not get the impression from looking at this that they're going to prosecute you or something like that. It says your email will just get sent back to you, and they've sent a sample copy of what will get sent back to you when they reject it, so that you can just see it right there without even having to send an email. Isn't that thoughtful?
I mean, if you gave us that email address and I just fired off an email, I didn't go to the court's website. I didn't agree to anything. I didn't read their terms of service. Right. I'm not bound by it in any way. I'm just a guy who knows an email address.
Yeah, and they're not. In fairness to them, they're not claiming that it's against the law for you to send it. They're just saying they're not ever going to see it.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever then.
Now there's an additional warning here, and it says, quote, "Do not contact the court to remove the restriction. The restriction will not be removed," unquote.
All right.
It will not be removed.
So let's see. The first message I'm going to send is, "Hey, you know that restriction? Can that be removed?"
It cannot be removed.
But you got to call the clerk of the court and ask him over the phone. "Hey, I'm on your website. This guy told me a thing. I just want to verify."
Right, let me put you through to IT. Hold on a second.
I'm with the news.
With the news.
I'm a journalist.
With a capital U.
Notice that it's this way. It's this way apparently not because of some law, but just a court order. The court just decided.
Well,
okay.
That's what courts do. Yeah, they like to think they can just make law by stating stuff.
Well,
now
they make the law effective.
Okay, yeah.
Through their judicial decisions.
Sure, but I mean, we've seen legislation from the bench. Right. We've seen courts in this case, like Dave's saying, just publish something on the website, and people are like, "Oh, the court said it must be law."
Yeah. Sure, you can't come in here with those sunglasses because the judge said.
Right.
You can't record in here because the judge said.
Right.
Right. They're going to hurt you if you attempt it, and then you have to fight back later.
Right.
In their court.
Right.
Okay.
Really?
I'm not surprised.
There was a case where I tried to email federal court in Concord related to Ian Freeman's case, and they actually did respond to me, like a person responded to me, and they said, "We've received your email and will not be forwarding it."
At least you got something.
No one important will see it.
It's like some courtroom intern, right? They're going to school for law and they're doing their 3 weeks of voluntary service, and they get stuck to the mailroom, or in this case, it's in front of a computer. Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember the name of the organization, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But there was a Liberty Service several years ago, and it might have been like the We the People organization that had a form to fill out to email your congressman. Does anybody recall this thing? It was a form, email your congressman this form letter, so that they get an abundance of these letters.
Yeah.
Right. I was new.
Yeah.
So the least I could do is fill out the form.
Right.
Right. So I fill out the form. I sent it off. I clicked, my email and my representative from my state.
New Hampshire Liberty Alliance.
No, because this was a federal thing.
Oh, it's federal.
Go on. Well, but I'm just addressing Steve for a minute. But it was the response you got back was just a form letter from the congressman's office. Yes, we received your email, and we will be doing what we want anyway.
Battle of the forms.
Right. So
Error 404. Here you go.
whatever it was, and it was a thing. It was this is the easiest way you can to contact your congressman in Congress. But they never cared. They didn't there was no personal letter coming back. It was just you sent out a draft form, and they sent a response in a form, and now you can put AI on it and then let the AI robots battle it out.
Well, you can find where the Congress critter is doing a fundraising event and go there with a bullhorn.
You could.
That
but
works.
So I've been told.
Yeah.
But I was like minimal effort, right? The least I could do is click 2 buttons when they send me an email.
Really?
So, as a further source of frustration with government, around the same time, I tried to call the Spanish embassy. Having so little luck with all these different emails, I call the Spanish embassy to complain about their arrest of Roger Ver, who is a former advertiser on your show.
Mm-hmm.
So that when I got an answering machine on my phone call to the Spanish embassy, and they said, "We don't take phone calls. You have to contact us by email."
Oh, really?
Para español.
Yeah, translated to Spanish first.
Prima 9.
Wow. That is frustrating. So did you ever make any progress?
Well, I'm still trying to find out where Roger Ver is being held and how we can write him, and I can't get answers from anyone.
Yeah, I've heard the same, that outside of his attorneys making a statement, that's about it. All is quiet on the Ver front.
Well, if I could have the name of an attorney, that would be enough to get that information. I don't currently know what his attorneys' names are, and I haven't looked exhaustively, but I've made 3 or 4 attempts to find him, and that's a great idea. If you can email me his attorney's name, I'll take it from there.
I'll see if I can find it. If people want to know more about you and what you do, Dave, how do they find you?
RidleyReport.com.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley, for your incredible report. We appreciate you. Let's move on to, let's go to, I believe this is Matthew calling from Seattle. Matthew, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, so before I get into my main point, I thought it was illustrative that you had a caller previously, there were sirens in the background, and they're like, it's not the cops, it's a fire truck. And I was like, that's the most bad thing. Like, the cops will show up to any situation, but if there's a fire truck, you should probably get out of the way.
I think it was also illustrative that these two don't get chased by the cops very often because they don't recognize the sirens. When you get pulled over enough, man, that boop boop, that gets you.
It's a real low tone.
So I feel bad that we're agreeing right now because the main reason why I called in was because last week you talked about manufacturing capacity. Now, manufacturing is down in the U.S., and so the thing is that manufacturing capacity in the United States has actually increased by threefold since I think it was the 50s or the 60s. The problem is that the jobs have gone down because it's all automated. So the U.S. continues to manufacture at a capacity that is far beyond what it used to do. It just does it without any workers because it's all automated. So when you look at all the graphs that everyone puts out about manufacturing capacity, the U.S. is producing things. The problem is they're doing it without any people. And so that's where you get this tension between the unions want you to bring back more union jobs. The problem is that the manufacturers have realized that I could pay someone to do this, or I could just buy a robot to do it, and they'll do it better, and they won't complain.
Right, and then when
robots for the win.
And then when they do need a human being involved, they outsource that because there are countries where it is much less expensive to have a human do the work than the U.S.
Sounds like a win for consumers.
So the outsourcing thing is where it gets a little tricky because, when you talk about countries like China, Indonesia, Vietnam, they can't actually manufacture at scale. So, when it comes to making a jet engine, the Chinese can't do that. They only recently, I think it was 2 years ago, was the first time the Chinese were actually able to make a jet engine to put in their helicopter. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, they were buying them from Germany or the United States because they can manufacture at small scale. But when it comes to large scale manufacturing, there's no way to outsource that. Like, you have to go to Germany, Sweden, Finland, U.S., Canada.
Why is that a problem? Like, who cares?
Well, it's not a problem. I'm just saying it's a fact.
Okay.
So when you talk about like outsourcing manufacturing, you can't outsource the manufacturing of a complex piece of equipment to China.
Well, you can.
It's not possible.
You can in piecework, though, right? If you have China manufacture individual components, ship them all over to like the U.S. or
assembled in the U.S.
They're assembled in the U.S., right? And so the cost savings still exists.
I mean, yeah, yes, you could do that.
That's,
but I
mean, that's what Boeing does.
Or
right?
if it was cheaper to do it in Germany, you just do it in Germany.
Right.
China can't make a jet engine or a chip, so they can't even buy the machine that makes the chip. They're the company in the Netherlands that makes the machine that makes microchips.
Right.
China's been asking for one, but they can't make their own, even though they have a copy of it.
Right. Right. Interesting.
You know, when you were talking about manufacturing in the United States, the definition of manufacturing has also changed because motion pictures are manufactured. So all of that workforce is considered manufacturing.
Wow.
Oh, is this Etymology Talk Live now with Manus and Factor?
Like
Sounds
Wall
that
Street,
way.
they manufacture stocks on Wall Street. I mean, there's so many ways they could twist the word manufacturing around to mean anything.
I mean, you can twist it, but what it comes down to is making by hand. Like, that's the word.
Well, you need tradesmen and tradeswomen.
Well, in that
to
case,
make
if it's done by
things.
robots, it's not manufactured then, right?
Right. So animated
it's a
movies
robot
are.
hand.
What's that?
It's a robot hand.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't have to be a human hand.
What qualifies as a hand?
I don't know.
What qualifies as a hand?
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Matthew?
No, we're really deep diving the definitions.
No, thank you.
Hey, thanks for the call, man. We appreciate you.
Great call.
Like, who cares where something gets manufactured?
603-283-6160.
The manufacturer, where's the cheapest?
Yeah, everything I see showing up in a box says made in China.
Let's go.
China.
Let's go to, man, I know you're from Georgia. What was your name again? Stefan, thank you. What's on your mind? You're live on the radio.
Yes, so I was looking at the speeches that Donald Trump and RFK Jr. gave at the Libertarian Convention. Did any of you three see those?
Yes, you're going to be able to keep your Bitcoin.
During one of the breaks here, Steve Classic played for Richie and I the audio of Trump's speech.
Like the best of segments.
I watched part of it live from when I jumped in. It was I caught it probably maybe 10 minutes before he said he was going to commute Ross Ulbricht's sentence, and then I watched it to the very end live. So I missed whatever he said before that, but I also didn't see Vivek's speech, and I didn't see RFK's speech. But I got, I think, most of Trump's speech.
I think what I got from the both of them is I like to compare them. First of all, it would have been a hoot to see Biden there, but we all knew he was never going to show up.
Right.
But
past his
what I was
bedtime.
going to say is it seemed like RFK, as much of a kook as I think he is, was a lot better at kind of playing to what the libertarians at the convention wanted to hear. He focused more so on COVID, medical-related freedoms, the importance of defending the Constitution, et cetera. Right, whereas Trump, it was mostly, you need to help me defeat sleepy Joe Biden. The communists are going to win. But probably my favorite line he had all night was, you need to nominate me for your presidential nomination so that you can win. Otherwise, you can go back to getting your 3% every 4 years.
I said that earlier. That was a Chad move.
Vote
I don't care who you
Donald
are.
J. Trump. You're gonna love it.
That was like
It's very-
sticking it to the libertarians at their own convention that they asked him to speak at.
But it goes to show how little he understands the libertarian process, though, because he hasn't selected a running mate, right? And at the Libertarian National Convention, they nominate the vice president with their delegation, and he could have ended up getting stuck on a ticket with somebody that he knew nothing about. So I don't even know why he went, to be honest with you. I
me
think
neither.
if I had to take a stab at it, it would be clout. It would be some way of getting attention because the man just loves attention.
Would it have been more clout if they rejected his request? Like,
Oh, my
no,
goodness.
we don't need you, Trump.
Oh, but we're talking about it, right?
That's
whether
because he
it's-
was there.
Whether it's good publicity or bad publicity, it's still publicity.
Well, what made it interesting was the fact that RFK was actually placed on the presidential nomination ballot for the delegation of the convention Trump didn't even file the paperwork to try to do it at the convention, because the way it works is you have to get 30 delegates to sign some sort of a sponsor letter. I used to be a libertarian delegate, haven't been for years, but from what I understand, you have to get like a certain number of delegates to sign some sort of nominating form for you to be there. And from my understanding, Trump didn't even try to do it.
Sure.
Which makes it
that might have been
bizarre
like
that he
just
would ask
off
for
the
their
cuff because they
nomination.
were booing him and he wanted to stick it to him. Right?
From what I understand, so most people saw the footage Reuters got, but I still am friends with some individuals in the Libertarian Party, and from what I understand, the booing was substantially worse than even what we saw on the audio online.
Even more
it
so
was
to stick it to
drowning
him.
people out.
He went up there and said, I'm going to ask for your nomination because instead of getting your 1 to 3%, it's time you guys align with a winner.
It's egotistical, but
if you don't want to win, go get your 1 to 3% every 4 years.
Be happy. We'll see you next year.
So this is what makes it interesting. I'll make this very brief. Is back in my home state of Ohio, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a controversy right now where Joe Biden might not actually end up on their ballot because of the way that the DNC has scheduled their convention. You have to be a certain number of days out from the general election in order to appear on the ballot once you're certified as a candidate.
Yeah,
So-
I'm pretty sure he wasn't on the ballot here in New Hampshire either.
Right, they took him off.
Yeah.
But they tried to
What's
write
going
him
to
in.
make that
Okay.
that was for the primary. I'm saying for the general election
Oh, okay.
in Ohio.
Really?
Biden might not even appear on the ballot, which is going to make it very interesting with RFK, in my opinion, to see that maybe he could get a good 30-40% of the vote, which would be monstrously high. Not that it makes a difference, but it would be.
How many electoral votes does Ohio carry?
It went down because the state is a crap hole that's going down the tubes and everybody's leaving. They are now down to 17.
Okay. So not
However,
unsubstantial
17
as far as swaying an
Well,
election.
that's what makes it interesting. 17 is enough that, in theory, we could see a situation where nobody gets a majority in the electoral college, and then we could see the greatest crap show the U.S. has ever seen. As
You
far
think
as an election
Florida
is
was
concerned.
weird with
It
the
would be a
Chads?
runoff like
It'd be a ru-
Argentina.
Oh, that's going to be great. because if that happens, I don't know if you guys know this, but if that happens, the presidential election goes to the House and the vice presidential election goes to the Senate. And we could end up in a situation where you have President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, say it's not so.
Nightmares
God.
do come
No, we want to keep this show on the
yeah.
air. That would be fantastic.
Stefan, we're taking you out with the win there. Thank you for the call, man. Feel free to call us again another time.
Wow, with a prediction like that, call back, please.
Well, let's see what happens, right? Now, if his prediction comes true, he's going to call back and be like, see?
I told you.
I am here for the lulls and the entertainment. Like, I don't care who wins. I'm not going to vote. But if my entertainment value goes up because that happens,
I mean, Saturday Night Live would have a field day with that.
yeah, it might actually be good again.
Yeah, it might actually be good.
Let's not, go getting carried away. Saturday Night Live hasn't been good.
Well, speaking of Kamala,
Has been good or hasn't?
Hasn't been good. For
That's what I'm
quite some
saying. It'll
time,
be
yeah.
good again.
Yeah, I don't know that that's possible.
Okay.
Kamala Harris.
Camel Toe Harris?
Did you see the, I think, was it Comedy Central or Daily Show did a thing about her instructor, her, spiritual person who's behind her speeches. Her guru?
Okay.
Oh, it was very funny.
You mean Miss Cleo from the
Call
the
me
psychic
now.
hotline?
I don't
Call
know
me
who it
now.
was, but I guess she's like her. She writes all her speeches and is very spiritual with her. It was just fun. So they're starting to make fun of Kamala Harris, which is weird.
Oh, finally they're catching up to me. I've
Yes.
been making fun of her since I first read her name and nicknamed her Camel Toe Harris because that's funny. I don't care who you are, even if you are Kamala Harris. It's
Just
still
because
funny.
my name is Kamala doesn't mean that it's Kamala.
You say Kamala, I say Camel Toe. What do you say? 603-283-6160.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Hire with your Week in Review, a roundup of what's been making headlines in past days.
I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
In the pouring rain and battling the sound of a loudspeaker system, Rishi Sunak confirmed that Britain will be heading to the polls. Following frenzied speculation and swirling rumours in the hallways of London, the UK's Prime Minister took to the steps of number 10 Downing Street on Wednesday to set the date. Earlier in the week, the United States condemned the International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor for seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas senior figures. The ICC application is directed at Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant over war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza, and it targets Hamas leaders for their involvement in the deadly October 7th attack. Separately, the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to halt its military offensive in the southern Gazan city of Rafah, where hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians are still sheltering. William Denzelow reports from the ICJ in The Hague.
It was an overwhelming ruling from the 15-member panel of the ICJ ordering Israel to cease its military operation in Rafah to allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza as well. The ICJ has ordered Israel to, within a month, check back in to ensure they're complying with this order, also to allow unhindered access when it comes to UN investigators into Gaza going forward as well. Israel has long maintained that it is complying with international humanitarian law, and it's doing what it can to protect civilian life, but the message from the ICJ is overwhelming, that they say that Israel needs to do more on that front.
The United Nations top court is also investigating whether Israel has violated the Genocide Convention, charges Israel strongly denies. That case was brought by South Africa. Meanwhile, the UN has resumed transporting humanitarian aid arriving at a US-built pier off the coast of the Gaza Strip. Deliveries were halted earlier this week due to security reasons. Back in Europe,
recognition is an act of powerful political and symbolic value.
Irish Premier Simon Harris has announced his country will recognise Palestine as an independent state, a decision he says not against Israel nor in favour of Hamas, but in support of peace. The step, also taken by Norway and Spain, and in the past by more than 140 nations, has been described as distorted by Israel, but it's been welcomed by Hamas and its rival, the Palestinian Authority. And that was your Week in Review.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Shake his jowls like that.
Yes,
and we are
back.
Talk Live back. Back.
Yes, and meow, woof, bark.
Meow, we're back.
We're back.
Sounds like a meme coin.
Well, I really screwed up that intro.
Oh boy.
Rest in peace, Doge.
Don't worry, it won't be the last time.
Got two more segments.
Or will it?
Or will it?
Foreshadowing.
Five shadowing. You know, hey, some people have 4 heads, some people have 5 heads, or 7 heads even. Right? Just depends on the measuring stick and how far back it goes.
Cone heads.
It's Free Talk Live.
Also, when Saturday Night Live was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
World famous Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
Try not to eat
Not with
when
his
you're-
mouth full.
When you're talking on the radio, Steve, it's bad. It's bad radio.
You got to pack it in there and then just pretend you're
I know.
Sean Connery.
I know the barbecue is delicious.
The barbecue is delicious.
So let's try not to do the eating when the show's going.
The intro music caught me by surprise.
Ruffle that paper.
If Ian Freeman were here, he'd be pointing at you like an angry father. Right?
Okay, I'm sorry.
The finger would be.
I'm sorry, Captain.
Not the finger, but a finger.
finger.
Yeah, the
Sorry,
pointer
Captain.
finger. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to the listeners.
You know when you're pointing a finger at somebody,
Sorry,
there's
listeners.
3 pointing back at you.
The barbecue is outstanding.
It really. Where's this from?
Well, I mean, I could give a shout out.
We're not
paying
being
us.
paid for any of this, but like it's so delicious.
This is Bear's Barbecue Smokehouse in New Haven, Connecticut.
Ooh.
Well, they also have a branch in Hartford and up near the airport too.
All right,
Windsor.
very well.
Delicious.
Uh,
Burnt ends.
But is it in the airport?
I don't know.
Can I
It's
get one
near-
for the
it's-
plane ride?
It's near the air. It's like right off. It's the same exit.
Huh. So you probably could go there and then get on your plane, but then everybody else would be all barbecue jealous.
That's
you
okay.
Because
imagine
when you
that-
open your barbecue, it's gonna stink up the plane.
I mean, I've done that with In-N-Out.
Busted open the barbecue on the plane. Oh.
Free Talk Live is brought to you by Fork Fest, happening June 13th through the 16th at Rogers Campground in the Rolling R beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Fork Fest is decentralized, so there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. For more information and to connect with other attendees, you can visit the unofficial website, forkfest.party. That's forkfest.party. Speaking of Fork Fest, I am planning to do a one-off of Beard Talk Live on Sunday, June 16th, 7 to 10 p.m. in the Shire Society Big Green Tent next to the Free Talk Live site. I don't know what the number is. You can't miss it, though. It'll be live in front of a studio campground audience. So it'll be a first. It won't be streaming live, so the only way to see it is to be at Fork Fest.
Only way to see it live.
See it live, yeah. We will, of course, publish it sometime after the fests are over so that everybody else can see it. We'll let you know where that is when that happens. But if you're a fan of Beard Talk Live, we're bringing it back. We're doing it live.
So I'm not going to commit to being there just yet. However, one question that is coming up in my head right now is,
yes,
you know, you said like you got you, Peakless Mountaineer, and Zephin.
Yep.
And then any of the other people who like may have been on Beard Talk Live in the past.
Correct, like you and nobody.
Well, my question is like, how many microphones are you going to have? Are we going to be passing
we'll
a
have
microphone around?
we'll
or-
have 3, but what we'll do is we'll just, because we have 3 hours, we can rotate people in and out.
Okay. All right.
Like, you know, so, you know, maybe we rotate 2 people in and out every hour or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
You know, but we can work something out so that everybody gets some time on the
Okay.
show. I want to include everybody. So whoever is there, and of course, I'd be more than happy for you to show up, if
Right.
for nothing more than to, participate.
Yeah.
So
it's a long drive there.
Yeah.
To be like, sorry, we've already got the seats filled, and then like a long drive back.
Yeah, no, I would.
For 1 hour.
Yeah.
Or maybe for, that might change things. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I was curious. If you had like a setup, we're like, no, we got like 4 or 5 mics. We can all get and just do a round table.
But the other thing is, too, like, it's possible that we'll do another one. I'm not saying I will. Right?
Okay.
The one that I want to do is going to be on that Sunday, June 16th, the last day of Fork Fest.
I get it.
But it's possible that sometime during Pork Fest, we could also do another episode.
Right.
Spontaneous.
Right. So,
But my Sunday would be free because my Sunday is for this.
Right.
Right. But I have to work on Monday, so I'm not going to stick around for
Right.
Pork Fest, nor do I have a ticket for Pork Fest.
Okay.
So it really would be, driving up.
Drive up, come do the show.
Come to the show.
Drive.
Well, I drive here every week, so, it's substantially longer than driving here.
Sure. Right.
But might be worth it.
All right.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not committing yet. I've got questions.
Let's go to some of your calls and thoughts. Let's go to Tim in Florida. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, excuse me. I caught the hiccups in the middle of waiting.
Eat some barbecue.
Really bad.
Boo!
Painful hiccups. So I'm gonna try my best. Yeah,
Poor guy.
Let's see. I've got squares and circles, so I'll start with those. I've got number diagrams, but what's his name? Ramaswamy. Well, he's basically made campaign promises to bomb civilians in Mexico. I mean, he doesn't say it that way, but that's what he means. I could go into that more, but I got a lot of stuff to get through here. RFK Jr., Biden, Trump, all AIPAC candidates, funded and endorsed by AIPAC, which is the American Israeli Political Action Committee, and all three candidates support Israel's right to vengeance that they refer to as defense.
Okay.
And they all support genocide.
What else?
All right. So coming back to the two-party paradigm wrestling federation and its owners, you've got AIPAC, Epstein banks, the Epstein banks like J.P. Morgan and Deutsche Bank, and basically Chabad Lubavitch, and they are courting libertarians with candidates like Trump, with candidates like Ramaswamy and RFK Jr.
Okay.
Sounds like a triple threat match.
In the cage.
Evolutionary capitalism was not invented by Skeeter, by the way.
Darn.
Oh, he's got a song
If you
too.
If you do a quick Google search, you're gonna actually find some papers and books about the subject.
I guess I'm not the foremost expert on evolutionary capitalism then.
You are the at least five most.
We're gonna have to repeal that song.
I think Tim has.
Well, I mean, he calls in to talk about it.
Yeah.
The song doesn't say he's an expert in it. Just that's
or
what
that
he
he
calls
invented
about.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Sounds like Tim is now the foremost expert.
Well, Skeeter's also brought up the actually he challenged Aria's voluntarism. I don't know if this is what he meant, but and I don't think Aria really has thought this out, and so I'm giving her a break. But I don't think that a person can vote for Trump and be a voluntarist. And the reason I say that is not because you cannot vote and be a voluntarist, but if you're voting for a candidate that has already been in power and they've already demonstrated everything they're willing to do, and you've listened to their campaign promises in regards to Mexico, he agrees with Ramaswamy. He's going to bomb Mexico. Like, it doesn't matter who wins. It's going to be the same foreign policy. And this Mexico stuff has a lot of overlap with Gaza. It's a test. It's a testing ground. They're both testing grounds for, new military weapons and new biometrics and IDs. They're going to implement this biometric ID system, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, it doesn't matter. And that's the social credit system. Elon Musk is involved. Skeeter's not wrong, but his cure will kill us all in our lifetime. And so to just like feed the beast.
I've got a follow-up question about Skeeter. Just because if there's other sources for evolutionary capitalism, and that's Skeeter's thing, is he at least representing the concepts of evolutionary capitalism accurately when he calls this show?
So I've only had a couple of conversations with him back when I had access as a non-paying member, and at one point I was a paying member, and I'll get back to that. But on the old platform, whatever it was, and I could talk to him there. But I don't think Skeeter's a paying member either. And so we talked to each other a little bit on there, and I came to realize I've stumbled upon some of the same conflicts that he has, but I ended up coming to different conclusions, right?
As people do.
Like, I ended up still defending the NAP, even though I ran across the same stumbling blocks as he did.
Okay.
But in the end, it's like, okay, yes, it's true that not everyone believes in the NAP, and it's not the overriding natural law of the universe. It's actually the law of force, or the strong, whatever, survival of the strong, survival of the fittest. Yes. However, when it comes to the a subjective theory of value, he could be right. It could be a religious belief, the non-aggression principle, because we believe, and Ari said it very correctly last night. She said, I don't care what you're saying because I just believe that it's wrong to coerce people, period.
Right.
So even if it's efficient, I don't care. And yeah, it's efficient for the system, but for the individual, no. For the individual, this is what Skeeter doesn't realize. I think his heart is in the right place, but allowing the dinosaur to drown in the mud is actually also hurting the individual, like to feed it so that it gets heavier.
Yeah.
Stop feeding.
I get the idea.
And maybe a smaller government can crawl out of the mud and just do the things that he thinks the government is actually. He actually agrees with Ludwig von Mises.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, thank you so much for the call, man. Feel free to call us again. We appreciate you.
I don't know if that quite got to the core of my question, but all right.
Yeah. Let's move on over here. We've got this is me, Rob, in Vermont calling. Hang on, Rob. I got something for you.
Yeah.
Rob, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, that sounded really good. I'm gonna go back and listen to that on YouTube, and I got a Bluetooth speaker at my house, and I'll crank that up. I want to hear that.
You don't have to go to YouTube, Rob. I sent you like the master files, dude.
Steve Classic eating barbecue.
That's right.
Yep. Hey,
so that was AI generated, but the lyrics were written by me, Rob.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Just so we know.
Yeah, those are
know.
your lyrics, Rob. So you sent those lyrics that Richie, pared them down a little bit
to fit the criteria for the what the AI system would allow.
Right. And then gave AI some prompts, and what you heard was the end result. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I mean, it just I've been listening to the show for a long time, and
yeah, you have.
And it just I just get inspiration from different areas. But I admit I used the AI bot and I asked it certain questions, and that's the quality I got, and I like it. I thought it was great.
All right, what do you want to talk? What were you calling about today? Because I know you weren't calling about that.
No. I just wanted to call and just to make an announcement, but I wanted to verify what Dave Ridley was saying, about the emails and stuff, and I tried to send off a couple of emails to the clerk of courts within the last few days, and it's blocked. You can't, I wanted to put in to 91A to get information, and I should be able to send it to the clerk of courts, but it's blocked.
Okay. I mean, I've had to deal with the court system, and at least certain things you can do with the New Hampshire website is like file motions online. Or you print out the motion and then you mail it in or walk it there, right? So I mean, if the email system doesn't work, just spend money on a stamp.
Right. I mean, I'm okay with that, but my thing is that they're saying that you can file a motion in online or 91, whatever you need to do electronically.
Yeah, but it's not through email. There's like a form that you fill out and then hit the submit button.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's the damnedest thing, but anyways, moving forward, I wanted to let people know that on Wednesday, June 5th, between 2 and 4 p.m., we're at the Concord State House at 107 Main Street. There's going to be a calling of records and character for Kelly Ayotte and other individuals within the political system. These people have been covering up the abuse that's been going on with, the not only youth detention center, but in situations where kids were living in foster homes throughout the state of New Hampshire. And it's important that people show up for this event on June 5th.
At the Concord
And
State House.
That's all I wanted to say, Captain. Yeah, absolutely.
From 2 to 4 p.m.
107 Main Street. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Well,
And would like to get as many people as we can there, because if we allow them to get away with this, then we give them the eternal right to do the same damn thing to any one of you.
Well, not an eternal right.
But yeah, you
defend
certainly,
yourself.
yeah, you certainly, the more they are allowed to get away with, the more they will do, and certainly the case. So, hey, Rob, thank you so much for the call and for the lyrics for that song, man. Great job. Moving right along, let's go over to, I believe this is Gigi calling. Gigi, you're on Free Talk Live.
Captain, my captain, come run away with me.
I would.
I love that song that you guys played for that gentleman. It's great. It's adorable.
We're trying to find yours as we speak.
Hang on, yeah, because I'm still not quite. Here we go.
Gigi's heart's on fire. She can put up a flame. Captain Kick-Ass got a heartbeat like a hurricane. But she's taken. She's got a ring on her hand. And her husband's catching on, he can't stand.
All right.
I love it. I love it. I wish I could have a business card and hand it to people and it played my theme song. It's so cute.
Oh, man.
What's on your mind tonight?
First of all, I very much appreciate what Rob just said. We have the same problem blasted all over local news in Charleston about physical, sexual, and emotional abuse with children, minors in foster care, in juvenile detention facilities. Need I say more? I like his current event. So important, most definitely, not just in New Hampshire. I would like to say, in my personal opinion, Stormy Daniels should have held out for more money.
It's already extortion.
Hey, if she wants to sleep with that creature, she should have held out for more money and always asked for cash. Who wants a check?
Well, she probably didn't have to put in for overtime.
No comment.
With that guy.
We have to be careful. I don't want to get potty flushed.
Yeah, it's possible.
And lastly, my husband and I were watching CNN this afternoon, and we saw a breaking news moment. You know CNN, every 10 minutes is breaking news.
Trump.
The caption that Netanyahu rejected the most recent and current negotiation settlement of ending the war in Gaza, and no hostages will be released. Right, but Tel Aviv was bombed, and Gaza was bombed. So, and they also found 3 more dead bodies of hostages. So this is going to continue just like Ukraine and Russia. What do you think, everybody?
Just another day in the empire.
Let's just throw China and Taiwan into the mix.
A perfect response. And I have a question to learn. I need to learn, so please explain to me.
Mm-hmm.
I heard on the BBC Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talking in D.C. that he's running on the Libertarian ticket. Can you please explain to me?
Apparently, per our last caller, or a few callers ago, he filed the correct paperwork.
He's on the ballot to be nominated.
Considered,
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so he's not officially identified then.
Right, and in fact,
it's ongoing as we speak because the Libertarian National Convention has not concluded.
They're deliberating.
Correct. They're still in D.C.
Right. So
The swamp.
And per a few callers ago, there was a few names still in consideration, and Robert Kennedy was not one of them. And the leading member, the leading person in contention, is some guy named Chase Oliver.
Yes, I heard about him along with Jill Stein and Cornel West, the professor.
Okay.
Well,
weird that those people will be considered for libertarians, but those names didn't come up earlier either.
You, Richard. I've said it before, Richard. Pay attention. You're very bright.
Yeah, Richard.
Richard. Jill Stein's a member of the Green Party, and Cornel West is a socialist.
That's right. If you were one of my students,
Well, okay,
I
but
would love to have somebody who thinks.
to be fair, the Libertarian Party has never put forth an actual libertarian as presidential candidate.
Well, that's not entirely true. They just
No?
haven't done it recently.
What about the
Joe
former
Jorgensen was the most libertarian recent, just not the highest profile.
Okay.
What was the gentleman's name? He was the ambassador to China. He was also a former governor, John something.
Yeah, no clue.
He ran on the Libertarian ticket for president. Hello?
The governor of New Mexico? That guy?
I can't remember the gentleman's last
Let
name.
me ask the magic rectangle.
Yeah, I'm skipping it too because I don't think it was John. Gary Johnson.
It's not Harry Brown?
Well, Harry Brown was Gary Johnson.
Gary Johnson? Gary Johnson?
Gary Johnson? No.
Harry Brown and Gary Johnson are two different people.
Wrong, excuse me.
Harry Johnson?
Bill
No,
the non-libertarian candidates that have been on the libertarian ticket recently have been Gary Johnson and Bill Barr.
Bill Barr. Oy vey.
Not the
Oy
comedian,
vey.
not Bill Burr.
No.
Bill Barr.
Bill Barr.
Something
I
like that.
have a question.
But those are the non-libertarians. And then last time it was Joe Jorgensen.
Even when I was a young student, I used to watch it with William F. Buckley, and he
Bob
proclaimed
Barr.
to be a libertarian.
Who?
True?
Who? Gigi?
William F. Buckley, the former journalist who hosted Frontline on PBS for years and years and years, and then he was a columnist in the United States. And he advocated libertarian political principles.
Okay.
Correct?
Buckley, from Wikipedia, Buckley called himself both a conservative and a libertarian. He's widely
Yes, sir.
considered one of the most influential figures in the conservative movement. So,
Yes.
I guess opinions differ. It depends on, I guess, your
Okay.
definition of libertarian. It looks like, just scanning through some of the articles here, it looks like when they talk about him, they're using the lowercase l libertarian, as in he shares some libertarian ideas. But at least at first look, it looks like the capital L. He's being a party member, and that kind of thing isn't associated with him as much.
I still say Stormy Daniels should have held out for more.
Held out for more money.
Did you have any?
Not held out for more.
Did you have any luck with the magic rectangle?
The only John that I found would be Gary Johnson.
That's what I said.
But not the first name John.
Okay, well then maybe I need to be corrected. So if I'm wrong in the name, excuse me. I just remember he ran for the Libertarian ticket.
He was the governor of New
former
Mexico.
ambassador
Also said.
to China, and he was a successful governor and businessman.
I don't know about the ambassador to China, but Gary Johnson was a libertarian nominee for president and the governor of New Mexico.
Right.
Those were his qualifiers.
Well, he ran the embassy in Peking, in
Okay.
Beijing.
And he got caught up because he didn't know what Aleppo was, and they went, clearly doesn't know his international policy.
Right.
Well, in my pantry, I have Aleppo pepper because I love to cook. I also speak Arabic, and I've been to the city of Aleppo.
Hey, JJ, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate you, and I look forward to having some brisket someday.
At this break.
Right.
Yes, at the break.
603-283-6160 is the phone number if you'd like to join us. This is Free Talk Live. More is coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Membership has its privileges. I'm Holland Cook with Inflation Hacks. Are you a AAA member? Nice to have, just in case, but think beyond breakdowns and dead batteries. At AAA.com, you can peruse discounts on tickets to concerts, games, and movies and amusement parks, including Disney World and Universal. When you book a hotel room, look for a special rate. And keep scrolling for Office Max and Office Depot and Omaha Steaks, and lots of restaurants have member discounts too. Ditto AARP, whose members also find air travel and cruise deals and tour packages. It won't take long to recoup your $16 annual dues. And while the American Association of Retired Persons is dedicated to people over 50, there is no minimum age to join. How are you coping? Post your inflation hacks at andyoucanquoteme.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Hire with your Week in Review, a roundup of what's been making headlines in past days.
I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
In the pouring rain and battling the sound of a loudspeaker system, Rishi Sunak confirmed that Britain will be heading to the polls. Following frenzied speculation and swirling rumours in the hallways of London, the UK's Prime Minister took to the steps of number 10 Downing Street on Wednesday to set the date. Earlier in the week, the United States condemned the International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor for seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas senior figures. The ICC application is directed at Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant over war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza, and it targets Hamas leaders for their involvement in the deadly October 7th attack. Separately, the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to halt its military offensive in the southern Gazan city of Rafah, where hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians are still sheltering. William Denzelo reports from the ICJ in The Hague.
It was an overwhelming ruling from the 15-member panel of the ICJ ordering Israel to cease its military operation in Rafah to allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza as well. The ICJ has ordered Israel to, within a month, check back in to ensure they're complying with this order, also to allow unhindered access when it comes to UN investigators into Gaza going forward as well. Israel has long maintained that it is complying with international humanitarian law, and it's doing what it can to protect civilian life, but the message from the ICJ is overwhelming, that they say that Israel needs to do more on that front.
The United Nations top court is also investigating whether Israel has violated the Genocide Convention, charges Israel strongly denies. That case was brought by South Africa. Meanwhile, the UN has resumed transporting humanitarian aid arriving at a US-built pier off the coast of the Gaza Strip. Deliveries were halted earlier this week due to security reasons. Jody Jacobs is at the UN headquarters in New York.
Amidst mounting global pressure to allow more aid into Gaza and especially Rafah, the UN's humanitarian aid deliveries were dealt a heavy blow this week. But the world body has announced that it has implemented a new route, resuming deliveries from the US-built pier. The UN currently coordinates the aid distribution from the floating dock. However, it says aid deliveries by land remains the most viable and effective way to combat the humanitarian crisis. The World Food Programme reported on Friday that if food and humanitarian supplies do not begin to enter Gaza in massive quantities, desperation and hunger will spread, with Rafah being the most affected.
Back in Europe,
recognition is an act of powerful political and symbolic value. It is an expression of our view that Palestine holds and should be able to vindicate the full rights of a state, including self-determination, self-governance, territorial integrity and security, as well as recognising Palestine's own obligations under international law.
Irish Premier Simon Harris has announced his country will recognise Palestine as an independent state, a decision he says not against Israel nor in favour of Hamas, but in support of peace. The step, also taken by Norway and Spain, and in the past by more than 140 nations, has been described as distorted by Israel, but it's been welcomed by Hamas and its rival, the Palestinian Authority. Thousands of Iranians gathered to mourn the passing of President Ibrahim Raisi. He was killed in a helicopter crash in northern Iran last weekend alongside the country's foreign minister. And the prosecution in Donald Trump's hush money trial rested, with his defense team questioning witnesses, though the former US president won't be testifying at this criminal trial, the first of 4 he faces as he vies for the Oval Office again. He's alleged to have falsified business records in the run-up to the 2016 presidential election to cover up payments to porn star Stormy Daniels in return for her silence about an affair. From outside the courthouse in New York, here's Sally Patterson.
It's the beginning of the end in Donald Trump's hush money case, the first criminal trial against a US president in history. Up next, closing arguments, and then the jury goes out to deliberate. If found guilty, Trump could end up behind bars. He's pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts, claiming the trial is an effort by his political opponents to keep him off the campaign trail in the lead up to November's presidential election.
And that was your Week in Review.
And if you thought things couldn't get more infantile and aesthetically insulting than Fergie, Kesha, or Katy Perry, then you obviously haven't met 22-year-old Karonica, the latest and most horrid, talent-bereft pop monstrosity the music industry has ever sadistically forced down the American public's collective throat. She's here with us in the studio right now.
What?
Now tell us, Karonica, how did you first decide that you wanted to be the cipher through which the cynicism of a morally bankrupt industry is channeled?
Yo, I just do what I do. Know what I'm saying? It's like people just love my ish.
Right. You are in the middle of your sold-out Damn Girl tour.
Damn girl, that's right.
Which is a heinous slap in the face to the English language, and will also travel to 47 cities, sapping the intellects of every young person along the way.
I said, damn girl, that's right.
There's no light in your eyes, Karonica.
I got nothing to say to the haters.
I hate you.
This is the Onion News Network.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It is. Yes, it is Free Talk Live. I'm Dave Mustaine.
Richard's looking at the magic rectangle.
I'm
here.
not Dave Mustaine. Hello, me. Meet the real me. In my misfits way of life, a dark black past is my most valued possession. That's right.
Wow, I can't wait to hear that on the podcast.
That's right. I'm working on my karaoke. Right? You know, I'm going to go out and do some Megadeth.
Cool.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I can. Dave Mustaine, he's kind of a whiny guy. He's not the greatest singer, so I should be able to. But, you know.
Gotta practice.
I don't know. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio this evening, it is moi, the Reverend Captain Kick-Ass, joining me.
Steve Classic.
And Richie Rich.
Before we go on with the show, I have something I want to share with everybody. But before we do, I want to say thank you to Jared Hofker. It's a pretty astute-sounding name, Hofker.
Yes.
Jared Hofker.
Say it like William F.
Jared
Buckley.
is a gold-level amplifier.
Gold.
Which means he gives $10 a month. We only ask for 5. He gives 10.
Oh.
And what is an amplifier, you might ask? Well, you can find out all about the AMPS program over at amps.freetalklive.com. That's amps, amps.freetalklive.com. This is a way for you to, well, give some money to us so that we can put this show on more radio stations, more platforms, more outlets, help us advertise, market, promote, and support this thing. If you love liberty, if you believe spreading the message of freedom, peace, prosperity, and liberty, is important, then please consider becoming an amplifier over at amps.freetalklive.com. Thank you again, Jared Hofke. We appreciate you.
We'd like to put a satellite up there for ourselves.
Yeah, we'd like to do a lot of things, but a lot of things
we
are
need
expensive.
plutonium sponsorship for that.
Plutonium.
Yeah.
He's a plutonium
uranium
level.
Sponsorship we need.
We need the continuum transfunctioner.
He's an unobtainium level sponsor.
Yeah.
So the title of the show tonight is...
Well, before you do that, do we want to mention anything about what the producer said about the guy Gigi might have been talking about?
Sure.
Just get that
Let's
out of the way.
do that.
Okay.
For the record.
Yeah.
For the record.
You know, I really don't pay attention to the On Air Now chat because that's for, well, the listeners.
Sure.
And they're like, for the love of God, please tell the people to pay attention to the chat. Thank you, Mark Edge, for alerting me to that. But they say that the person that Gigi was referring to in the previous segment is John Huntsman Jr. with Jon, not John, which might be why we weren't able to locate it quickly.
Not enough AI.
So
well, and also he's not a libertarian.
Well, and also this is not called Read the Chat on Live Radio Talk Live.
So
I realized somebody called in and they're like, well, I can't call in again because of the one call a night rule, and I'm okay. That that's true, but like if you guys have something to share, we
call in.
We're a live call in program.
But he was governor of Utah, ambassador to China, ambassador to Singapore, at different stages of his career. But always a political Republican, and I went through the Wikipedia page and I searched for the term libertarian, and it didn't come up in any capacity that would identify him as a Libertarian Party candidate.
He spoke at the Statue of Liberty.
Something like that. Yeah, that was pretty close.
That's about as close as he got.
Well, he got some praise from the Cato Institute, and
for Liberty or something.
Yeah, whatever. But never on a libertarian ticket as far as the Wikipedia is concerned.
Okay.
So use sources with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yep.
The journalists.
We can also come back to my announcement because we do have a caller who's
sorry
on
to
hold.
step on it.
But I want to do this. I want to do this. Wait, hang on.
Okay.
In the heart of Mexico, there's a gal named Sarah, selling trinkets down at the park underneath the endless skies. She's got turquoise rings and dream catchers hanging from her car, living by her own rules, chasing dreams through desert dunes. Sarah's got that Southwest charm, always wearing cowboy boots.
Does she wear
Free
cowboy boots?
spirit with a
She rides the
spirit
bus.
of her own. She don't need no fancy suits. Her voice like a canyon echo, singing songs of life and love. She takes
Look, you give the AI a prompt and it runs with it.
Yeah.
It's
It
not
does.
always accurate.
Yeah. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live in New Mexico. Welcome.
Well, thanks for the acclimates or whatever acclimates.
Accolades.
Altoids.
Altoids. Just AIDS.
Got my own little song that. Hey, I'm beginning to wonder. Those so-called underpass walkway bridges that go
Under the boardwalk.
Yes.
Yeah, underneath it. I think I want to start calling those the homeless condominiums because that's what they are in Albuquerque. Yeah.
Do they have a homeless owners association?
Homeless owners association.
Well, I mean,
Nice.
there was one underpass bridge under this one freeway. I think there's some freeway. I mean, they had 4 huge tents lined up, taking up all over the sidewalks, and obviously I had to walk on the bicycle paths.
Oh,
And
no.
they were leering at me because they were so mad that I was walking by their home.
Well, you should take
And-
public transportation. Why walk?
Well, I didn't want to wait for the bus there, but so I mean they were really treating me like, how dare you walk in front of our house? I was so scared, and I was walking on the sidewalk.
Were they all like,
But,
get off my lawn?
Get off of my tent.
Yeah.
Off my
And then they
sidewalk.
probably they were mad because they're usually drug addicts and they're so paranoid somebody's gonna turn them in for doing dope. But I mean, I think they got cleared out. But they're gonna do a renovation to make the underpass bridge under Central. There's like a train track that goes over it. So there has been an underpass, but it has been so dark. There's always people lurking there. So they're gonna have some kind of improvement. They already play the music. They put the bright lights on. So are they gonna make it wider? So I'm just kind of trying to imagine what the plan is to make it safer. To me, it always smelled like a bathroom. I would always plug my nose when I would walk under, and walk really fast.
Maybe that's why they're yelling at you, because you're holding your nose.
Under the boardwalk, out on the sun, under the boardwalk, we'll be banging your mom. Oh, wait, well, sorry.
Hey, Sarah, how's the
PG show?
How's the research going on the lithium mining? Have you done any?
Lithium mining?
Yeah, you're supposed to do homework.
The lithium mining is minor. Cost to saving the environment. See what I'm talking about? Overall, having electric cars would save the environment. And then what was the argument was that, remember, what's good is money, having job creation when you're dying of cancer, when you're dying of, and you can't breathe, you can't drink the water, your food's contaminated. But the thing is, they sell this to the middle class. That was my whole point. Not the people in Dynasty or Dallas, the multi-billionaires. Yeah,
Which remembers that, but won't do the lithium mining research.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they sell this to the middle class, the working people, that this is jobs for you. You could pollute the planet as long as you got a job and making money, and you could afford to have a car. But that's the sell. They sell this to a common person. But my argument is that you're dying from cancer. You can't enjoy your life. But
some people do it for their children.
Yeah. But
that's the sell. But it's again corporate media. We live under capitalism. I was taught in the socialist meetings, Communist Party meetings, that this is capitalist-dominated, corporate, twisted media. So obviously they're going to have everything twisted towards their favor.
I don't think that the South Americans crossing the border to get into the United States are doing so because American media is telling them so. Right? They're leaving their circumstance because they believe the circumstance is better here, and although they may not reap the benefits right away, they can set their children and their progeny up for a better existence by doing so.
Yeah, I even though I'm a Democrat, I think that
sorry to hear that.
The border belongs to Texas out of the border. So I feel like the Texas, they could deal with that border. They're not dealing with California border, Arizona border, New Mexico border.
Oddly enough, that would be more constitutional.
Their borders along Texas, so I think they have more right. I'm in favor of what he has to do. You know what I mean? Even though
I don't care what the reason. I don't care that there's a border. What I'm saying is people cross the border into the United States because they believe their circumstance will improve under this capitalism system that you're so hard pressed against. Right. And again, they don't do it necessarily because they believe that they're going to reap the benefits right away, but that, the Mexicans work in the field in California and Texas, right? They will send that money back to their families so that their families have the opportunity to save up and get here so that they can work hard and provide their children a better life. So but
the thing is, I'm trying to argue this point of that capitalists, the oil companies have dominated polluting the air for their capitalist corporate profit motives, and they're losing now because they can't sell this to the average person that you're going to live better with drinking all these polluted water and dying of cancer.
The inability to sell it to the average person is part of the capitalist system. That's competition.
Here's the thing: is the oil companies going under because they were manipulating the media. And you say that the wealthy people are excluded. I don't think so. They might clean the water out, but they still have to breathe in the water.
No, I said last time that the wealthy people are excluded from the effects because they will not live in those areas.
Yeah, but if you're a billionaire. And you still have to live in Texas. Texas has been rated the most polluted state.
You don't have to live in Texas if you're a billionaire. You can have your business in Texas, and you can live on the coast where the weather is clear and the air is clean. and you can run your business from another state.
Yeah, I mean, but you really can't prove that they really do that. But see, the whole thing is they sell this to the average person, that how it's going to make you money. See, that was the whole propaganda machine. That's the capitalist corporate bent to sell this, and people are not buying it, you know?
Well,
yeah, they might have a job, but
it's
they're
not
buying
propaganda. People have a choice, and they choose the best option available to them at the time. Right? People get all upset about sweatshops, but if that's the best option available, then that's what you do. And the alternative is worse, because unless they're slaves, the sweatshop is the best thing that they can do at that time for their life and their family. So the people working in the oil fields or the coal mines, right, that's the best option they have.
Right.
And they take that option because it's the best option they have. If they could do something better, they would, but they can't. And if you take that away from them, because they can't do anything better, their situation is going to be immediately worse.
Oh, but you know, Texas, they're going clean energy. No matter how much of the oil companies have been bullying that state, they're getting wind power. Like I said, they're getting clean electric vehicles. I saw electric buses. So people are just saying enough of this. You know what I mean?
Fine.
The average person.
Sarah, how much additional solar capacity you have on your house that you sell back to the grid? How much of that do you personally do that?
Well, you know something. We've been approached by the solar company, but
right now, are you doing anything green right now?
Well, you know what? I'm walking and I ride the bus for free. That's pretty green. I never owned a car. I never had to buy gasoline to put in my own car. You know, I rode vehicles with gasoline, but I never had my own gas. I mean, to buy my own gas.
And what fuel does that bus run on?
I think all of our buses here are all electric.
And they're not electric, they're battery operated.
Well, yeah, they're electric because it has a battery.
So we go back to the lithium mining.
Right. And what's your homework on the lithium mining?
Yeah, but to me, it's minuscule. Whatever pollution that you create.
Well, you
do some homework on the lithium mining.
You can't say anything about it if you haven't done the homework. So thank you for the call, Sarah.
And also, if you're bringing it down to the individual level, like my carbon footprint is small compared to Taylor Swift.
Al Gore,
the United States military.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right.
How much
largest
fuel do
polluter.
they use?
Yeah. Sarah, go look up lithium mining and do some research on that. Give us a call back another day. And
she gets an F already. She's got like three. She's got three extensions already.
3 extensions to get that homework done.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea. Like I've talked about e-bikes before.
Okay.
I like the idea of owning an e-bike.
That's fine.
With, a couple of batteries so that, grid down situation or gas skyrockets again because, in California right now it's like $7 a gallon, that kind of thing. I can motor around the neighborhood, go to the store, pick up basic supplies, using something that's rechargeable, right? To me, that's a good prep, right?
Sure.
Right.
So I don't remember a lot from college.
Yeah.
But there are specific lessons that I hold dear. And this is from like a environmental economics class that I took. And again, the topic of this was like 20 years ago at this point, almost. The topic of like oil production and oil use and competitive energy sources comes up. And the professor probably didn't mean to say this, but he was old and tenured and was on his way out. So he's like, I'm just going to tell you guys the truth, type of a thing.
Yeah.
He's like, at some point, the cost of oil goes up because they're running out of how much they can get out of the ground, right? And the last barrel of oil on Earth is going to be so expensive that an alternative energy source will have crept into being well before that point.
Sure,
right. And at some point, even without government manipulation, that other energy source is going to be more expensive initially because that's how new technology works.
Right.
And over time, through technology improvements, that cost will come down, and it will have an intersecting point as the cost of oil is going up.
Right, there'll be
a cross on the graph.
Yep.
And at that point, it is now then just cheaper to use the alternative energy source, and people will naturally migrate to the newer alternative energy source because that's what's financially better for them to do on an individual basis.
You mean the market will dictate it?
The market will dictate it.
No government subsidies?
So you don't have to
knew?
Drill, baby, drill, right? Fine.
Drill, baby,
use it all up.
Well,
get rid of it and then switch to something
and
else.
when it costs $101 to get a $100 barrel of oil out of the ground, it doesn't make sense
It
financially.
won't make sense. They won't do it. They'll switch to something else.
Exactly.
Well, and the government interferes with the market because it promotes certain technologies at the expense of other technologies that might be better that aren't getting that promotion, including nuclear.
Nuclear. Not nuclear.
Right, nuclear.
Nuclear.
Thank you.
The thorium reactors.
Thorium reactors. I want one.
Right?
At some
if
point,
if I could get a thorium reactor delivered by Wednesday, installed, I'll take it.
And you might be one of the first people to do it. Right? It's going to be very expensive.
Well, I probably can't afford it, but
I get it, but someone can.
Right.
Right. Someone's
Those
trying
rich
to
billionaires in Texas can
someone's
afford it.
trying to develop this and get it to the a scale of economics where it's cheap enough for the average person to use.
Yeah.
But people are scared of nuclear.
Right. I remember
and so
my first CD player in the 1980s was like $1,500 for a CD player.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and
totally.
now it's like you can't even get a CD player.
Yeah, VHS was the
Or
same.
VHS,
Yeah,
same thing, like a $1,000 VHS machine. So the same thing. Solar panels, they used to be really expensive. Now they're cheap. Batteries getting cheaper. But
get them
again,
from
China. But again, it's that lithium mining. If you're really green, you got to look at that lithium mine and go, is this worth the cost?
It's worth the cost to pretend to be green.
Well, yeah.
Because I plug in my car. I plug in
The
my car
pollution
that
is
has
somewhere
a
else.
It's somewhere else. I'm not contributing to the lithium mining to get the battery to go in there.
Yeah.
And most places, unless you got the solar up, right? Most places are still like coal driven.
Right.
So it's just as bad or worse when you plug in your car. Coal is worse than gasoline.
Well, the big energy crunch is coming from these AI data centers that are going to be popping up.
Okay.
There's not going to be enough electricity for those AI data centers because they use all those NVIDIA cards that use huge amounts of electricity.
Yeah, the grid in California is not going to be able to support all the EVs that they're demanding by 2035.
Right. Exactly. Everyone plug it at this.
They're
It's like
screwed.
It's like
they
when
don't have the infrastructure.
It's like the old
And they're
joke
not
of
building
like,
it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like the old joke at midnight on January 1st. Everyone flushes the toilet at the same time and it shuts down the sewer systems.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to mistake what I'm saying when I talk about the e-bikes. I'm not doing any of that for environmental reasons.
It's fun.
right?
Personal reasons.
Yeah, I just I think it's a good idea to have backup, right?
Sure.
And to me, that sounds like a good idea for transportation backup, and even for fun, right?
Can you
If
say
you're
that
into
again?
bicycling, but like you hate pedaling uphill, e-bike's the way to go, right? It gives you that assist, right? So if you're an old man who's a man of heft, right, it might be a good idea for you to have something like that because they do make the ones that are like heavy duty, supports the bigger dudes, and
I don't want to
all that
stumble
kind of
to the
thing.
next bar.
But you can't at least in some states you can get a DUI on a bicycle.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah.
All right.
We did a story here once actually.
Can you get a
Sunday, I
DUI
think.
on a horse?
No, it was on a riding lawnmower.
Oh, okay.
Dude got a DUI on a riding lawnmower. Arguably not because he was mowing lawn, because he was using it to get to the bar.
Sure. Yeah.
Because his license had been suspended previously for
another
DUI.
DUI.
Right, yeah. So that's pretty hilarious. But he thought, well, this isn't a car. And
I don't need a license for
I
it.
don't need a license for it. And the bar's not far.
Well played, sir.
Let me just jump in my riding lawnmower and see if I can't go get me a beer.
Get a Segway.
I'm out of Segways.
Oh,
No.
Oh, you mean the
Oh.
riding thing, the transpo device.
I've fallen off that thing so many times.
Yeah.
We used to use it for
Do you
work.
have one?
No, but
Oh.
I worked at a place where that was like our mode of transportation.
Really? That's pretty cool.
What do you mean? You all rode on one, or they had like ones that the employees could use, or
They had several.
okay, all right.
We were doing door-to-door sales, and boss thought it'd be cool if we rolled up to the door on a Segway.
Wow. I guess so. That is
So
kind of
he
cool.
had, we had a locker full
Were
of
you selling Segways?
No.
Because that would have been
Yeah.
like,
No.
check it out. Look at me. You want to buy
Yeah.
one of these? Here, buy this one, right?
I got in trouble for breaking a couple of them. I can make it up this hill. No.
We need
That's
more
one of the
lithium
falls.
mining. More lithium mining.
More lithium mining.
More lithium.
Don't they use, or they used to use lithium, the drug, like in mental
Yeah, you can
health?
still get lithium.
Yeah, right.
Calms you down.
It calms you down, man. Brings you down. Oh, yeah. 603-283-6160. More Calm Free Talk Live is on the way. Coming up, we'll talk about the drunken monkeys and the captain's farewell.
Some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you pledged. Higher donation tiers are available if you're feeling so inspired. You'll get a special membership badge that's visible in the Odyssey chat room, and if we get enough supporters, we may enable members-only chat. This new subscription method is a great way to decentralize our direct listener support away from just Patreon and also support a libertarian-run business, Odyssey. Please visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join to subscribe to our Odyssey channel and help support spreading our message around the planet. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join today.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Hire with your Week in Review, a roundup of what's been making headlines in past days.
I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
In the pouring rain and battling the sound of a loudspeaker system, Rishi Sunak confirmed that Britain will be heading to the polls. Following frenzied speculation and swirling rumours in the hallways of London, the UK's Prime Minister took to the steps of number 10 Downing Street on Wednesday to set the date. Earlier in the week, the United States condemned the International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor for seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas senior figures. The ICC application is directed at Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant over war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza, and it targets Hamas leaders for their involvement in the deadly October 7th attack. Separately, the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to halt its military offensive in the southern Gazan city of Rafah, where hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians are still sheltering. William Denzelo reports from the ICJ in The Hague.
It was an overwhelming ruling from the 15-member panel of the ICJ ordering Israel to cease its military operation in Rafah to allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza as well. The ICJ has ordered Israel to, within a month, check back in to ensure they're complying with this order, also to allow unhindered access when it comes to UN investigators into Gaza going forward as well. Israel has long maintained that it is complying with international humanitarian law, and it's doing what it can to protect civilian life, but the message from the ICJ is overwhelming, that they say that Israel needs to do more on that front.
The United Nations top court is also investigating whether Israel has violated the Genocide Convention, charges Israel strongly denies. That case was brought by South Africa. Meanwhile, the UN has resumed transporting humanitarian aid arriving at a US-built pier off the coast of the Gaza Strip. Deliveries were halted earlier this week due to security reasons. Back in Europe,
recognition is an act of powerful, political and symbolic value.
Irish Premier Simon Harris has announced his country will recognise Palestine as an independent state, a decision he says not against Israel nor in favour of Hamas, but in support of peace. The step, also taken by Norway and Spain, and in the past by more than 140 nations, has been described as distorted by Israel, but it's been welcomed by Hamas and its rival, the Palestinian Authority. And that was your Week in Review.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
That'll really be good for the podcast listeners.
I had a dream, not a dream, but like not like I was sleeping dream, but I had a dream.
That all men are created equal.
No, that four guys could effectively be a band with no instruments, right? So you've got like the bass player going doon 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 doon.
Okay, it's like Bobby McFerrin.
I was just about to say
you got the guitar
thing.
player going dun 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 dun,
or Tenacious D,
and then the lead player going right, doing the leads
Yeah.
over the top, right, and then a singer comes in, right, right, and like
How's
but
it go?
no instruments necessary. Right, just everybody mimics
Acapella.
a barbershop quartet,
Like
but everybody
But a rock
mimics
song.
their
Okay. Yeah,
the rock instruments with their voice, with their mouth sounds.
So combination of Tenacious D and Bobby McFerrin.
Tenacious
I was an adult
McFerrin.
before I knew that about "Don't Worry, Be Happy."
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
did
all,
not-
all vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know until I was an adult. That's all.
Who's the other guy that does that? He's got a giant afro.
He makes all the sound effects for.
Yeah, but he loops them and then does more on top of it. He often gets booked with comedians and stuff. What the hell's his name now?
Is he a musician or is he?
He
a
does.
comedian?
The song is called the the F.
Can you say it?
The
Oh.
FS stack, where F is rhymes with
FCC?
schmuck.
Okay.
And then the S is the word for got to take a dump.
Okay.
And then stack, and you take some F and some S and some F and some F. You got an FS stack, an FS stack.
Okay.
It's a stack of F and S on top of itself. The hell's that
I don't
guy's
know.
name?
I don't know.
If only there was something like a chat room where they're listening to us. Where
Yes,
where,
maybe someone in the
We will look at the chat now.
You know what we should do? We should invent some sort of a chat where people listening to the show could go
Can chime in?
so that the
Yeah.
hosts could maybe look at it from
And if you
time to
had
time.
that, if you had access to that
if
chat.
they so chose.
As long as Arya is doing like a podcast version of Free Talk Podcast, right? Then just like other podcasts out there, you charge for like to read the chat.
Oh,
if you have
really?
something important to say, like throw us some bucks and we'll say what you have to say in the
You have to
chat.
buy a membership to the chat.
Reggie Watts.
Not
Reggie Watts.
Okay.
That came from the chat?
No.
Magic Rectangle?
I Magic Rectangle.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
we were talking, so he was able to do
because
other
sure,
things.
the one time I wanted the chat to do something,
Right.
they're
They
not
let-
listening.
they let you down.
They're
Yeah.
not listening.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Well, now it's firing up. Look at that. We're all chiming in now.
Well, yeah, I don't think they
Throw
are.
something in the tip, John. We shall read your important chat message.
Actually, Ian was trying to do something like that on the Odyssey channel, but then only like I think one or two people paid.
Okay,
And
that's
so
fine.
I think the last comment that's in there is something like, "Gosh, sure I'm glad I paid for the privilege of being in here alone by
Talking to
myself the entire time."
Chatting with myself.
But it's more to get it read on air. If you're shy to call in, we'll repeat what you type
it's
as long
almost
as
like-
it's FCC
grow some
friendly.
balls and call.
I get it, but what did I say? For the Free Talk podcast, or the
for
Free
that,
Talk
right. Okay,
cast.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Other podcasts do it. It could be a thing here too.
Submit a question via the chat.
For $5.
Okay, this is the Sunday show, and we've been taking the show far too seriously, in my opinion.
What?
Tonight. And so we have to go to
it's the
this
callers,
story.
that's why.
We have to go to this story from Newsweek. Drunk monkey goes on rampage fueled by jealousy over owner's new husband.
Wow.
Drunk monkey. That
The
funky
funky
monkey. That's right. Drunk monkey. A scorned...
Kung Fu style.
Trunk monkey.
Not Trump monkey.
Trunk monkey.
Trunk. Oh, yeah.
The security
Can't call them
device.
that.
In England,
They
they're
know
called,
who to vote for.
In England, they're called boot monkeys.
Okay.
Boot
All
monkeys.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they keep them in the boot.
Right.
Okay.
Instead of the trunk, right?
Got it. Yeah, all right.
They call it the car boot. Instead of
The lorry.
car
On the
trunk.
lorry.
Yes. A scorned drunk monkey.
Scorned.
How do you know the monkey's scorned? I guess we'll find out.
It got violent.
A scorned drunk monkey reportedly went on a wild revenge spree. Is this like a who's the Bronson? Is this a Bronson film?
Charles Bronson?
Charlie Bronson
Charles
play the drunk monkey?
Okay.
I don't know. Revenge, right? That's what made me think of Bronson.
Got it. Okay.
A scorned drunk monkey reportedly went on a wild revenge spree and bit 5 people.
Wow.
After becoming jealous of his owner's partner.
Were
Garrick.
these 5 people also the owner's partner? Like, what are you biting randos for?
He was scorned.
Just go after the guy that's,
He was
sleeping
scorned
with your girlfriend.
and looking for vengeance.
Charles Bronson is
Drunk Monkey.
Drunk Monkey.
Part 3. Garik, Garik, a monkey from the village of Myliki Komsomolsk on Amur in Russia. I don't know where that is.
So he's drunk on vodka, obviously.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Escaped from his owner, Anna, on Friday after her husband let him out of his cage. Russian outlet Knife Media report. Okay, wait a minute. A monkey
Gotta unpack this.
from this village escaped from his owner, Anna, on Friday after her husband let him out of his cage. Now, that doesn't sound
There's
like...
only room for one of us here, Abe.
It doesn't sound like he escaped. It sounds like her husband let the bastard go.
Well, it depends if he was captive in the cave, right? Maybe, like you let your dog out of the crate and the dog runs around for a little bit.
Maybe, okay.
And then bolts out the front
monkey
door.
went crazy.
Yeah. The monkey reportedly grabbed an open bottle of whiskey.
Oh, okay, I was close.
Oh, whiskey.
With the H.
What are they doing with whiskey?
Whiskey. Which he sipped from. Sipped.
He poured it, he decanted into a crystal glass.
He's got a snifter. He's smelling it before he's like, nice bouquet.
Sophisticated poo thrower.
Oh, he grabbed an open bottle of whiskey, which he drank from, and then ran outside and started his wild rampage.
All right, so we know he's an angry drunk.
Or rampage, depending on...
Rampage?
The escaped monkey sunk his teeth into 5 people, including a pregnant woman and a local journalist who was bit on the lip and had stitches.
He was just trying to make out with the drunk monkey.
Yeah.
According to the local
Taking
Telegram
advantage
channel.
of a drunk monkey. Very journalist thing to do.
Urinalist.
Journalist.
Maybe the urinalist was drunk too, and he's like,
often.
I picked the bear. But it's a monkey.
To say maybe just confused it for an average looking Russian chick.
Oh, snap. Oh, snap. The hair is real. Fontanka, a Russian news channel, reported that Garik worked up an appetite and picked up tulips to eat the buds, enjoyed an apple, and even polished off a few cookies. The drunken monkey was so strong that 3 men had to restrain him after he was lured in with sugar cookies.
Ooh. Yep, that'll do it.
Shocking footage shows...
And more whiskey.
Whiskey. Shocking footage?
Sugar cookies and whiskey.
They got this on video? World star.
Shocking footage shows a man catching the monkey in what looks like a net after a failed attempt to catch him off a roof.
What looks like a net? Is it actually a net?
Burlap.
Okay.
Why
It resembles a net.
Why is it called burlap anyway? I don't know. No? Etymology? No. All of Garik's victims have since received rabies injections.
Blech.
I think they mean
Rabies vaccines?
Vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, like, why would you inject? Well, I guess the vaccine does have rabies in it, right? In order to That's how vaccines work, right? He is now at the Python Zoo Center where he will stay since his owner can no longer control him. Garik's bad behavior.
Want to let the wild beast out? I'm coming out.
They got a picture of him like just sitting on a fence. He kind of looks baboon-like. He's just sitting on like a fence in the city, like chilling, like he's gonna bum a smoke from somebody.
He's panhandling or something. Hey, any whiskey?
Will
just waiting for the organ player to come back from break.
His cardboard sign reads, "Will bite for whiskey." Garik's bad behavior reportedly started 2 years ago. When his owner, Anna, got married, he became jealous and exhibited aggressive behavior. Are they doing the deed in front of the monkey? Because that's bad for him, man.
While he's drinking whiskey?
Why are you muted? We've lost Richie Rich, everyone. Richie, what did you do?
Oh.
No. Technicalities. Technicalities.
Carry on.
He's back.
My wayward son.
And we're back.
Carry on, my wayward son. Why don't you get your ass off the couch and get a damn job?
Sorry. Cable came out.
Not you. Yeah. Watch them cables, man.
Yep.
They should be plugged in.
They should. It is
plugged
now,
in for
obviously.
a reason. Leave them plugged in.
So anyway, the monkey got jealous after his owner, Anna, got married, and he began to exhibit aggressive behavior. When the monkey was examined, vets did not find any diseases. However, they reported a strong stench of alcohol.
Drunken monkey.
That drunky monkey. A new law for the responsible treatment of animals entered into force in 2020 that prohibits 33 species of animals from being kept as pets, according to news outlet Russia Beyond.
But he was grandfathered in.
Russia Beyond. It's like
Ukraine?
Russia beyond Russia.
Sure, we'll go with that.
The Ukrainian monkey.
The Russian outlet added that any wild pet purchased up until January 1st, 2020 was allowed to be kept domestically. So, again, grandfathered.
Sure.
It is not the first time a monkey has wreaked havoc on Russian residents. Ooh,
So they have a habit of doing these.
Monkey see, monkey do. Like politicians. Monkey see, monkey do. In July 2022, a monkey attacked a 2-year-old Ukrainian refugee in the village of Terpogoryevo when she was playing in a swimming pool with friends. The little girl sustained severe injuries after the monkey attacked and dragged her to the ground from the pool and bit her.
Wow.
Her family ran towards her in an attempt to stop the attack, but their efforts were futile as the monkey continued to attack despite the girl's father kicking it.
Choke it out.
It's a
Choke the monkey.
Punting monkey.
Yeah.
In January, an escaped Chopin named Charlie escaped the Rathdrum Monkey Sanctuary in County Wicklow, Ireland. His owner urged hunters not to shoot him as he was looking for love. His owner reported that he disappeared when he moved away from the female monkeys in the sanctuary.
There's a monkey
Looking
sanctuary.
for love in all the wrong places.
There's a monkey sanctuary in Ireland? A monkey
What are you trying to say
sanctuary?
about Irish people?
No, I'm just saying, like,
This explains why the monkey went for whiskey,
a monkey sanctuary.
Okay.
right?
All right.
You know?
Maybe it's a rehabilitation center.
Irish monkey migrated to Russia?
Yes. Yes.
We'll see how much Russian you've become. You want whiskey or vodka?
That's,
Vodka.
Whiskey.
It'd be
and a
interesting
vodka.
to see,
Vodka or
like,
whiskey.
like who's the less of the drinking lightweight, the Irish or the Russians?
Who's less? I think the Irish are the lightweights.
Really?
Are we talking about
part
monkeys?
part of the culture is like just getting drunk,
Yeah.
right? But the Russian culture is just drinking.
Interesting.
Speaking of which, this is kind of a throwback because I never got out. You guys were talking a couple weeks ago, I guess, about Wisconsin versus
everywhere
else for drinking.
Yep.
And I will just point out that Mississippi might have you beat, not necessarily by volume, but by law, because you can you can drink and drive in Mississippi.
You can?
You can.
You can drive drunk?
You can't drive drunk, but you can drink and drive
legally.
In Mississippi.
So like an open container?
Yeah.
You can drink. As long as you're not drunk, you can drink and drive in Mississippi.
I'm checking Priceline for flights to Louisiana.
I think in Connecticut you can also...
Because there's no airport in Mississippi? What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought I'd rent a car in Louisiana and drive to Mississippi.
Go to the drive-thru.
Go to the drive-thru in
drive-thru liquor
Louisiana
store.
and then crack
And
it
then-
open in Mississippi.
Yeah. Drive around. But don't get drunk.
Just so you know.
I wasn't thinking anything.
Don't get drunk, but you can drink and drive.
All right.
There's no like open container law preventing you
Right.
from doing so.
Right. I think the same thing in Connecticut, which is weird. You can have an open container of alcohol
Okay.
in your car, but you can't drink and drive, or you can't be drunk.
Well, then Mississippi beats that because you can drink it. You just can't be drunk.
Well, I think the same thing in Connecticut.
Well, you just said you can't drink it in Connecticut.
Well, no, you can drink it. You can have an open container. You can drink,
Okay.
but you can't be above the legal limit if you're caught.
All right. There you go.
So I guess...
So Mississippi and Connecticut. I was only aware of Mississippi. Now I'm aware of Connecticut.
Okay.
I mean, it used to be you could just have a beer in your car and drive around everywhere.
Right.
Yes. And then the government stepped in.
Yeah.
Some time ago, they've had like old 80s clips of when that law first went into effect.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of like, hillbillies going, well, what else is the government going to get into if they're taking away my ability to have a beer on my way home from work?
Right.
This is an overstepping of boundaries. And they were right. They were absolutely right. It's gotten terribly worse from there.
Yep.
They start with the beer.
Yep.
Creep in everywhere.
I remember there was
I can't smoke in a restaurant anymore.
Right.
I don't know how many states now, but New Hampshire is one of the few that does not have a helmet law for motorcyclists.
Or a seatbelt law.
New Hampshire does have a seatbelt law, but
Under 12.
Only, I think, 16 and under.
Okay.
So
that recently changed. I thought it was 12. All right, whatever.
There's a sign that I drive past sometimes, and it says.
So there's an age restriction.
There's an age thing. It's like 16 and under.
Not as an adult.
Yeah. So like you're not going to get pulled over for not wearing your seatbelt, which is the key, right? It's not that I'm driving around without my seatbelt all the time. I put my seatbelt on because I think it's a good idea.
Right.
Right. But cops can't pull you over just for that, where they can in most other states.
That's where they can get their foot in the door.
Right.
Like, oh, well, you weren't wearing a seatbelt. So what else you got going on?
Do I smell marijuana in there?
What do you got in the trunk? A monkey?
I got a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt as I was leaving court for another charge.
I mean, that's efficient.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it's resourceful.
Had to call the probation officer. You're not going to believe this.
Oh, my God. All right,
and the car that I was driving for a long time, different from the one I got pulled over in, the clip for the seatbelt didn't work. So I was never ever buckled in, but I'd have to tuck it under my stomach so that it would hold it in place so it looked like I had the strap going across.
Yep. I did that too, like when they first instituted these seatbelt laws. You know, you're just driving down to the store to get your 12-pack of beer or something, right? You know, so you just sort of sugar the seatbelts just over the shoulder so that you pass the cursory inspection, and he didn't actually buckle it in or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now you don't even have to do that. You can just drive down the store.
Yeah.
You're a responsible adult. Move to New Hampshire.
Right. And you don't need car insurance either.
Yep.
You don't have to have it. It's not mandated. Not mandatory. Not.
You got it right both times.
Yeah. I mean, it's a smart thing to have, right? It's a smart thing to have, but you don't have to have it.
Yeah. Also, New Hampshire does not require you to have vehicle insurance.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Car insurance. Say that again.
It's like deja vu.
You got it right
Department
again.
of Redundancy Department.
You can say that again.
It's like deja vu.
Yeah.
It's the Department of Redundancy Department.
All over again.
So
car insurance, seat belts.
Yeah.
Helmets.
Open carry. Anyone?
Open carry?
Except for felons, apparently. Yeah. Federal felons.
That's a tricky one because you can, felons, I don't know if they can open carry, but generally, and talk to Mark on this because I think he did more research on it, can carry a black powder pistol.
Right. Yeah. Or like a musket. Something like that. Right?
Carry a musket.
Yeah.
But it's better than nothing.
Right.
Right. You pack it yourself. You got 6 shots. You carry 2. You got the cowboy reload. And all of a sudden, you're just as armed as a normal civilian.
Right. A civilian.
Like how even if you open carry, right? When was the last time you had to draw down on anybody? Right. It's such a rare occurrence that if you pack a black powder pistol, it's good for a while.
Right. People aren't going to mess with you.
Generally, you pull out your 6-shooter.
All right.
I only got 6. I'm going to make them all count.
So time is running short here in the program, and I have some things to say that I feel like I should say. The title of tonight's program is The Captain's Farewell. If the rumor mill has not reached you, yes, today is my last broadcast on Free Talk Live. I'm stepping away from the show. I'm sort of phasing out the first thing. Yes, I know. Yeah. I'm.
It's an Aria chick, isn't it?
Totally, man. Yeah, that's no. I've been feeling. I don't like the signs of burnout. I've been seeing them since probably around the first of the year or so, and I don't want to overstay to a point where like I get stale and I'm not able to do this show to the best of my ability. So I am stepping away. I'll be sort of behind the scenes for a little while, just helping transition from whatever's going to happen next. And I've been Bonnie and Aria both have been working on some stuff, and we've been cross training people on things like doing the first chair and all that kind of fun stuff. So like we're trying to make the transition as smooth as possible for everybody. But I want to say thank you first and foremost to Ian Freeman. The first day that I walked into this studio, I sat through maybe the last hour of the show or something, and he looks over at me and he goes, "Hey, you look like a guy with some opinions. You ever do any radio?" And I said, "Well, if you're saying there's an open seat, I'm happy to fill it for you any day that you got in mind."
Do you remember your first call?
I do not. No.
It's the microdosing. You got booted from the air.
That was the day that I came over.
Yeah.
Right. So let's see. It was Adam Kokesh was a guest in the studio, and it was Ian, and I don't remember who else. It wasn't Mark. Somebody else was. Was it you?
Yeah,
you were here
I was
in
here.
the studio. So yeah, that was not my first call. However,
Okay.
that was my first call from New Hampshire to the show.
All right.
And because I knew Kokesh, I had helped him book a venue in Seattle when he did his book tour. I knew him from that, and so I had his cell phone number, and I texted him. I'm like, dude, I'm in New Hampshire right now. And he's like, well, get your ass over to the studio. And I'm like, I don't know where it is. And he's like, here's the address. And I'm like, are you sure it's cool? He's like, dude, come over. Like, libertarians have just shown up here before. Like, you wouldn't be the first or whatever. I'm like, okay.
No lies detected.
No lies. So I show up. No, I had called in because I was trying to, like, tell Adam that I was here over the air, and I decided to make a joke first because they were talking about microdosing,
right?
And so I called in and I said something like, "Yeah, have you guys ever heard of microdosing?" And
don't say it because you got booted once. You got dumped for it,
right? Yeah.
Already.
And so yeah, I ended up getting dumped before I could say anything or booted.
Is that like the original number 2 story?
Maybe it may have been.
It may have been the original number 2 story. So anyway, I want to say thank you to Ian Freeman for putting me on the radio. I spent an incredible amount of time in my life, people going, you have a great voice. You should be on radio. And I just never really paid that any attention. And he had the balls to put me on. I'll give him that. I also want to say thank you to Mark Edge for similar reasons. For, like the first thing that he said to me, he's like, well, I don't know you very well, but I think you're talented. And he's like, so we're gonna keep you around on the show and that kind of a thing. So I want to thank both of those guys. I want to thank every one of the co-hosts. You guys are here right now. So Richie Rich, Steve Classic, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody that I've ever hosted this program with, every call that I've ever took has been fun. This has meant a lot to me from a perspective of being able to say my piece, being able to do radio as activism, to tell you my perspective on freedom and liberty, and what I think and my opinions and how I feel about it, almost completely unrestricted. Thank you, FCC.
Right after we get the song written about him and everything.
Yeah.
Well, go out on a high note, man. All right. I was in a number of bands in the Seattle area, and the last band I was in, we lasted for a decade, and in retrospect, we probably should have called it at about year 8. But we kept going, and the same feelings I was having in those last 2 years of that band is about how I've been feeling since the first of the year, where I'm like, I've said most of what I want to say, and that is to say government as an organization type is antique, barbaric, and immoral. It does nothing but oppress mankind, and it should be gotten rid of as soon as mankind can do so. That is, if there is anything that I ever wanted to get across on radio, it's that.
I think you're successful.
I hope so. The other thing is Free Talk Live will continue. One thing I've learned about Free Talk Live is that it's always been a rotating cast outside of Ian and Mark, right? They're the founders, so it's always kind of going to come back to those guys, but it's always been a rotating cast. So I want to thank all of the cast that came before me that are no longer here. There's a whole bunch of people who did this show as even a first chair or even a second or third chair, other co-hosts that you never hear from anymore. You bump into them at like a Fork Fest or a Pork Fest, stuff like that.
And the Sunday show was the proving grounds for those people.
Yes. And so I want to say thank you to those people, too, who came before me, because they were an example to me that if you have some desire and you show up and, you're responsible about being here on time, stuff like that, that like you, too, can be on the radio.
No crown of shame.
No crown of shame. We're out of time.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Steve Classic. Thank you, Richie Rich. Thank you to all of the listeners and all of the callers. If you want to keep track of me, find me over at CaptainKickass.com. If you missed any part of tonight's show, find the archives over at freetalklive.com under the Resources tab. Thanks, and peace.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Rising fees have made Bitcoin useless for purchases, but Dash continues to have fees less than 1 cent per transaction, and its features ensure Dash is undefeated as the most useful cryptocurrency in the marketplace. From a technical standpoint, Dash transactions are irreversible, and its network is protected from 51% attacks by their Chainlocks technology. There's no need to wait for a confirmation before considering a Dash transaction complete, so it's great for merchants.